2, 1. Yo, what is good, folks? It's your boy Sports PSP. Welcome to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast. Hope everyone is enjoying a fantastic evening. Don't worry, the crew's going to be here in just a second. First and foremost, before I start off the show and before I start letting some people on to the pod, I just want to say thank you personally. The Sports PSP podcast, now over 11,000 subscribers. Now over 11,000 subscribers. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting the Sports PSP podcast. That includes a lot of people. BRF Sports, Flash, Hot Take Kenny. You're definitely going to see Hot Take Kenny in a second. Braden from the block, Mario Knows Best, Casual, everybody. And of course, how can I forget Undisputed World Champ? Don't worry, Undisputed World Champ will be here, folks, in just a second. But on a personal note, I just want to say thank you so much for so many people along the way who have helped me as a podcaster, as a content creator. Now over 11,000 subscribers. I'm very humbled. I'm very grateful with the amount of work that I put in. And I'm also very humbled and grateful with the people I've collaborated with along the way to help me with the Sports PSP podcast. And I just want to say thank you again. And let me add one of the members on the Sports PSP podcast. You can check them out every Friday nights, 9 p.m. Sports, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on, PSP? How everything going your way?
Good, man. Can't wait to start a good show. Before we start the show, we don't have the guest yet. We just started off the show a little late, but on a personal note, thank you as well, BRF. Sports PSP is now over 11,000 subscribers. So,
okay, there you go. The sound had got low on me. There you go. Okay, I hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
I just want to say, the Sports PSP. I think your phone or something is buzzing along the way.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
No, it's all good. But the Sports PSP podcast is now over 11,000 subscribers. And we can't forget this man right here.
I'm gonna have to, hold on. Hey, hold on. PSP is my daughter. I'm gonna have to let you go. I'm gonna jump on. Just give me a sec.
All right, man. Take your time, man. Take your time.
All right, we'll go. All right, bro.
Undisputed World Champ. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. Just taking a break from training today, so I'm good. So my body shut down on my ass about a couple weeks ago. I just didn't tell nobody. I was training too hard. So yeah. So I get what you was coming from when you were saying what you were saying. We're not gonna put no business out there, you know. Yeah. I train so hard when I'm training, my body will shut down on my ass. So yeah, people gotta make sure. People gotta make sure I keep myself in check. Are you okay though?
I'm good. I just wondered, before you hopped on the air, I was saying congratulations to Sports PSP, over 11,000 subscribers. It's great, man. I'm happy with the amount of success on the Sports PSP pod. Like I said, I want to thank you as well as the other great people who come a long way. Grant, Ghost, BRF Sports, Flash, Hot Take Kenny, Mario Knows Best, Casual, Brandon from the block, Broad, Harrison, Luis Knows Tunes, everybody, all the people, all the great podcasters and content creators we collaborate with. You know, it's just something for us that we love to do, which is talk sports, talk whatever we want to talk about, entertain the audience, and, you know, become successful. And
I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to post this video, bro.
I know. You're a busy man. But Champ, you ready to talk about Team USA?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the greater performances. I hate that people keep trying to sell them short, but you know how we get involved in nostalgia of sports.
I gotta admit, man, I was watching Team USA, the men's basketball. We got a comment right here from our guy Aiden. Shout out to Aiden. Say hello to him. What do you think about the men's Team USA victory over France, man? Steph Curry was cooking.
Hey, cooking with the chef, Chef Curry with the pot. Hey, man, they say it for a reason. Look, I have to say this. Number one, I will say this. That was an impressive victory. And I understand that we're used to seeing the Team USA blow out teams. But at the same time, man, look, I'm glad it was competitive. I'm glad it was competitive because a lot of these guys, and I use that term loosely, by the way, are playing in the NBA. They're going to end up seeing all these players that played in the Olympics, most of them anyway, they're going to see each other again this season. So everything's going to cross over into this season. So, I mean, it's something special, man, to see the Avengers assemble. And like I said, people are going to think I'm reaching. This is just the first part of the farewell tour on three of the greatest players of all time. When you think about LeBron, Steph, and Kevin Durant, people can say what they would like to say. I mean, I know that old heads, much like myself, love to hate on this era. They say it's soft or whatever, but we are never going to forget those three players. Steph Curry for how he almost revolutionized, revolutionized the three-point shot. I mean, you got to think about that, man. I mean, LeBron James, who was essentially, the Lord's gift to basketball during this era. I mean, people can say what they would like about him, but hey, came to the league and lived up to the hype with all of the pressure, came in here and won championships and did everything that he could for this game. Going on year 22, still playing at an MVP type level. And Kevin Durant, as much as people like to discredit his 2 championships, guess what? That dynasty does not continue without Kevin Durant. Hey, quiet as it's kept, if they would have ran it back without KD, guess what? LeBron may have 6 championships just like MJ. But no one has done more for the game during this era than those 3 guys. When you think about every last one of those guys, you have to think about they are this generation equivalent to Bird, Magic, Michael Jordan, and we got to give Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons a lot of credit as well. But they were must-see TV wherever they went. Whether you loved them or whether you hated them, they were must-see TV in the NBA in this social media era. People could talk about the dead ball era. People could talk about the golden age with Magic and Bird. But the social media era, what I like to call it, was essentially great, man. And hats off to the Olympic team, man. Sorry if I went too long, bro.
Nah, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I have a question that I already asked the audience right now. Do you think with this latest victory, the gold medal, along with all the accomplishments you've mentioned with LeBron James, does this now solidify or validate his case as the greatest player of all time? Do you think this puts him above Michael Jordan?
To be honest with you, I cannot say that at this point in time. I'm just going to be very, very honest with you. I cannot say that because I still am going to beat the drum for Jordan. And that's the nostalgia in me. I will admit it's nostalgia bias. I got to see him cook some of the greatest players of all time in the NBA during the 90s. Nobody was touching Jordan during that time. But in fairness to LeBron, guess what? There's nothing wrong with being number 2, man. That's just in my book. My thing is, when you start talking about championships and things of that nature, if you want 1A and 1B, Michael Jordan and LeBron, it's not bad, man. It's like number 2 is not bad. I mean, people hold it against him for those championships that he lost. Some of those were not his fault. And when you're still performing at a high level to try to lead your team into victory, it's nothing short of amazing what he did with that Cleveland Cavaliers team in his first go around. A lot of us never even heard of those guys, never before, never again. For them, and not to mention for them to lose Carlos Boozer to free agency, for him to not have that second superstar up there in Cleveland for many years, and for him to go to Miami and prove what he can do when he has help, it's nothing short of amazing. But like I said, it's nostalgia bias for me, and that's the probably only bias take that you're ever going to hear from me. Nostalgia bias, Jordan. But the thing about the old days is the old days. I will say that LeBron is the greatest of this generation, regardless of what you may think, what anybody would think. I would say.
All right, let's get into the women's. What'd you think about the women's winning the gold as well?
Whoo, man. That right there was a showcase. Asia Wilson.
I'm sorry, Jim. Her performance was great, but I was thinking about what she said post.
Yeah. Everybody thinks about that, but look, Asia Wilson, Kaylin Copper, Diana Taurasi, all of those incredible young women, they went out there and did the darn thing. They went out there and did it. The women's basketball team, when they go out there to win the gold. We talk about the men's basketball. I know they get all of the notoriety, but guess what? The women's Olympic team has not lost but 3 games since the 96 Olympics, when they first was accepted into this. They're not new to this. They're true to this. Diana Taurasi getting her 8th straight gold medal. That was nothing short of amazing, man. And for them to be showcased on a worldwide stage and proving that they can do it and go for 8 straight, it is unblemished with the women, man. And it justifies Asia Wilson being on the cover of 2K. The only player, no player in the NBA has this, the only player with a 99 ranking in 2K is Asia Wilson. And you ask me, look, we all remember Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and all of those great players. You know, we didn't just start watching the WNBA this year. We're not new to this. We're true to this. I have to say, Asia Wilson already making that GOAT case for herself right now. She going for a 3-peat. She already won 2 gold medals. She's only 26 years old. I think she's only 28 years old right about now.
Yeah, let me go check. And she's clearly the favorite for the MVP.
I'm not only for the MVP, the Defensive Player of the Year for the 3rd straight year. And she going for a 3-peat. So when you put all that into perspective, man, her case for being the GOAT while still playing is as great as it was when Michael Jordan was still playing. People was already calling him the greatest of all time after he did that first 3-peat. And I believe we're going to hear a lot of conversations about Asia Wilson during this time, especially if the Las Vegas Aces can 3-peat. But that team was unstoppable, my friend. That team was unstoppable. And my thing is, man, look, I know everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark out there on the field, and I was one of them, on the court. But guess what? They proved that they can win, and they can be just as dominant. And like I said, I'm glad to see. We all want to see the USA dominate and sweep and do all of those great things. I love to see it. But guess what, man? At the same time, ain't nothing like when the competition is right here, you're right here, and let's go at it. Let's just see who has the better team. And guess what? The Team USA men and the Team USA women proved that we still have some of the greatest talent that this country has ever seen. And it was a hell of a showcase for the women's basketball. And it justified not only that 99 rating in 2K, but her being on the cover of 2K. Salute to the WNBA, man. Showcasing those great players in the Olympics and the NBA as well.
Well, Asia Wilson just turned 28 years old, and definitely, like I said, man, it's a beautiful thing to come. As you mentioned, the 99 rating in 2K, it's just great, man, and it's really great to see Team USA on top, man. But I gotta talk about football because we all know football season is approaching. Your Atlanta Falcons. They've made some moves. Acquiring Justin Simmons And not only that, you picked up a trade. Matthew Judon is now going to the big ATL, champ, and it's making you feel a lot brighter because in the draft you wanted to get Dallas Turner. Unfortunately, they decided to go with a quarterback to draft Michael Penix Jr.
Yes.
Okay, he's going to be there as the backup quarterback, learning behind Kirk Cousins. But if you look at this offseason, champ, Atlanta, some of the moves, Matthew Judon, now Justin Simmons, Mooney, AJ Terrell, Kirk Cousins. This roster, man, first and foremost, they should, on paper, if you cannot win that NFC South Division, champ, I don't know what to tell you, my man. But it's making you feel much brighter, because before you was mad as hell on draft day when they passed up on Dallas Turner, and I tried to tell you about Montez Sweat, although you wanted to try to get your hands on Chase Young. And speaking of another ATL fan, we got BRF Sports in the building. How you doing, BRF?
Man, I leave, I come back, and we talking about, why are we talking about Montez Sweat when I come back in the chat?
Because we talking about the Falcons.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, since I'm in and I can jump in on it, okay, what we got going on here?
The moves. Matthew Judon, he gets traded from New England to Atlanta. You picked up Justin Simmons.
That's right.
Atlanta has made a lot of good moves in this offseason. And Champ and BRF, you got to be very pleased with what you've been seeing from this organization. So I'm going to let whoever wants to go first. With considering all these moves that Atlanta has made, can this team compete for a Super Bowl?
Yes, in the NFC. I'm going out and saying it. Yes, they are an NFC Championship contending team. Yes, they are. With these moves, yes, they are. It's amazing how two singular moves can catapult a team to a higher level status. Yes, they are an NFC Championship contender. If I made a video yesterday, if you're looking at the top four being San Fran, Detroit, Green Bay, and Philly, if you want to talk about like your dark horses outside of that four, Atlanta's jumped in front of like a team like Dallas as far as being a dark horse that could come out of nowhere and win the NFC. I think they've done that much already. I think the main thing with them is, can Kirk Cousins stay healthy? If Kirk Cousins stays healthy, this is a legit, I don't want to play this team come January type squad. This is one of those teams. I don't think nobody wants to play this team. I really don't. You have, in my opinion, by far, undisputedly, the best safety duo in the league now with Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons. You add that to AJ Terrell, who is a top 10, 12 corner in the league. He's still really, really good. Matt Judon, I think, is like the real X factor of this, because here, okay, Atlanta got what, like 40, had over 40 sacks last year. That's like the most they've had as a team, really, in like ages.
Since Patrick Kaepernick.
Okay, all right. Since Patrick Kaepernick, okay. Matthew Judon by himself, the last 3 seasons, 32 sacks by himself. And then it's like, okay, well, he only played 4 games last year. He tallied up 4 sacks in those 4 games. So just think, if he played, the type of damage he was going to do last season. And I think he's going to come in motivated. I think Atlanta's gonna give him his money, whatever he wants. Atlanta's gonna pay him. I don't think you make a trade like that knowing the dude is in a contract. Again, you might as well say in a contract dispute. You're not making a move like that if you're Atlanta, if you're not gonna pay him some, what he wants, whether it be a 1-year or a 2-year deal. And the offense, I mean, come on, man. Drake London. I mean, the receiver core, you got Drake London, you got Darnell Mooney. I feel like if anything,
they have a chance to get Brandon Ayuk.
I don't think we're going to get Brandon Ayuk. I'm going to just go out and say it right there. I don't think we're getting him. It's wishful thinking, but I don't think we're gonna get him. It would be nice because I feel like the third round pick we would have used on him, we used for Matt Judon. And honestly, I'd rather have, considering our situation, I would rather have Matt Judon, Brandon Ayuk. If you're talking about what we needed as a team more, was pass rush. So I'm not mad at it. But if you're just looking at it from the outside in, just from like if we're looking at this on paper, they are an NFC Championship team, and can't nobody tell me any different. I think they are one of the they instantly became one of the scariest teams in the league, particularly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, on the defensive side of the ball. I did not think I would be saying that about the Atlanta Falcons coming into 2024, but
Right,
you have to
Moore
look
is
at that
doing
defense
something.
on paper. As good as the offense is, as far as like what the trajectory is, this defense scares me more if they're on their A game, because now everything is like it's like shout out to Terry Fontenot, because I remember when we got him and I said, okay, I'll look at what he did with New Orleans. He made a lot of really, really good teams. He's going to do the same thing in Atlanta. He's going to do in Atlanta. And then people started questioning him and some of the moves, and I'm just like, chill out, y'all chill out. The dude's got a mind for this. It's coming. That was Arthur Smith too. So I'm looking at it like, okay, so what's he going to do? What is he going to add to the team? The man's been cooking all offseason. I mean, I supported the Michael Penix. He did. Look, you say what you want about the Michael Penix draft pick. I felt like it made sense, and I feel like these two signings kind of solidified that and validated him on that. So I'm happy. I'm excited. I want to see what this team does. But I will say this: if they don't win the NFC South, it's a failure. So that's my opinion. But these are NFC Championship moves.
I'm gonna say this before Champ goes. You probably gonna see a lot more from Champ Sunday mornings. He's gonna be going to church, and then Sunday nights at the Atlanta. If the Falcons pick up a victory, he going to Magic City. He going to Magic City. You cannot tell. I mean, you get church and you get thighs and wings on the night. There ain't nothing better for Champ that day. But Champ, you are excited. You got the big grin on your face, man. I mean, I haven't seen you smile this much since God knows how long. Since you wanted me to see me have on my OU helmet, okay, the Baker Mayfield helmet. But Champ, you love yourself some ATL, man. This is really exciting for you. I think Atlanta has put the NFC on notice. What's your thoughts, man?
Man, oh man. I've been on pins and needles all week long, man. It's been a good week. It's been a good week. Celebrated today by having me 2 Philly steak and cheese sandwiches. I'm not gonna even flex. Not gonna even flex. Deal with the Chick-fil-A, wash that all down with about 3 cookies. So, man, I am super excited. This right here is arguably the most successful offseason that I have seen in Atlanta history. This is arguably the most successful offseason. And I just cannot, words cannot describe the way that I'm feeling right about now, because you know what? Terry Fontenot is out here just killing it during the offseason, man. I mean, when it got Rondale Moore, when it got Daryl Mooney, I mean, already had great talent in place with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Aguilar, Kyle Pitts.
You finally got rid of Arthur Smith.
Yes, we finally got rid of that guy. You know, there's a fine line between being the man and that guy. And trust me, Arthur Smith was that guy. You know, if you don't get it, don't let it go over your head. I'm excited, man. Look, I'm not going to get into any Super Bowl aspirations or anything like that. What I'm most excited about is this. They are showing us, the fans, that you are blankety blank serious about winning. You're serious. You're not just trying to put behinds in those seats at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You are serious about winning and trying to bring a championship to this team. Am I going to start spewing, crazy narratives about championship or bust? No, I'm not. But Atlanta Falcons, the Braves broke the curse. 2021 World Series champion. Georgia Bulldogs, back-to-back champions, might be becoming a dynasty this year. Here is your chance. The front office did their job. Terry Fontenot did his job. He went out there and delivered the goods. He went out there delivered in the draft. He not only set us up for the present, but he set us up for the future with Michael Penix Jr., which I was strongly against. I wanted Dallas Turner. And I think there was a lot of botched trades when it came to the whole Montez Sweat situation, which you told me about. I really kind of underestimated that, but you told me.
I told you.
I am elated that this front office is going out on a limb and saying, hey, Atlanta, the state of Georgia, we are serious about winning. We're not just trying to get butts in the seats. We are trying to win championships. We are trying to compete with the Philadelphia Eagles, with the San Francisco 49ers, with the Detroit Lions. And we're trying to win divisions. And we're trying to win a division. I'm not going to sit around here and say NFC championship or bust. I'm going to say this. You showed us that you can win. Now let's go reverse the curse. Every other team in Georgia has done it. The Braves have done it. After long after that 95 World Series, they've done it. Freddie Freeman and those guys delivered. Kirby Smart and those guys up there in Athens, they delivered back-to-back. Probably going to another one this year, barring any injuries or anything crazy. Now that you have got the tools in order to win, let's see how good you are. Let's see how good you can be. I'm not ready to throw. Hey, you should at least go out there and win 10, 11 games this year. You should. It's that scary. And plus, Raheem Morris, he knows that franchise. He knows what it means to be a part of that community. He was the interim coach when Dan Quinn got fired.
Right.
So he knows what a championship and what going to the playoffs can mean. Plus, he was part of a championship team on the Los Angeles Rams with Aaron Donald and company. Yes. So he knows what a championship in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia, would mean for the football community. It's time, Atlanta. The front office did their job. We can no longer complain about the front office. The front office ain't did their job. Terry Fontenot, Arthur Blank, those guys was aggressive. Just say aggressive would be the least. They were more aggressive than Anderson Silva was in the UFC octagon. That's how aggressive they were.
Oh, they were dominant. They were dominant. And Champ, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. And when you talk about great offseason, you have to put the Atlanta Falcons right up there.
Oh, yes.
We talk about Chicago. We talk about
Houston.
Atlanta has to go up there.
Absolutely.
You came in here and you cleaned house. You got us the correct coaching. You got us the correct players. Now, Atlanta, it's time to go perform. It's time to go perform. We don't want to hear it anymore. Terry Fontenot did his job. He cooked like Martha Stewart this offseason. He brought the buffet to us. Now it's time to eat.
Hey, Martha didn't do it. Hey, Martha had some help now. She did have Snoop.
Yes, she did. But Martha done bought the buffet to us, man.
She did.
She done bought the buffet. She didn't cook the turkey. She didn't cook the mashed potatoes. Now everything is on the table. Now it's time to eat till we get full. Let's eat. And let's eat good. And let's go out here and let's win some football games and bring some glory to the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta today. Ain't no more curses. We talk about the curse of the Georgia sports. The Braves have broke that curse. They broke it first. The Atlanta United, they broke that curse. Georgia Bulldogs, they broke that curse. Atlanta, now it's your turn. Don't end up being the only team in this division that don't even have not one Super Bowl. Hey, the Bucks got one before they did, and there was a laughing stock at one point. New Orleans got one before we did, and there was a laughing stock at one point. This division is the weakest it probably is ever going to be. You only got to worry about Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks at this point. Don't go out here playing around, playing lollygagging, and thinking that it's yours for the taking. You got to go out here and you got to eat. And I'm not finna say Super Bowl or bust. Let's get into this playoffs and let's see what we can do after that. Because if you don't make the playoffs this year with all of these moves that Terry Fontenot has made, then guess what? It's because you didn't want it. He didn't bought the food already. It's because you just weren't you weren't hungry enough. You got to go out there and perform. Hey, trying to win the division, if you don't make it at least to the divisional round of the playoffs with these weapons that we have, then guess what? You just didn't want to eat.
All right. Waiting on Hot Take Kenny. We all know Hot Take Kenny's going to have something to say regarding this. But let me give you my take. ATL did their thing. They did their thing. They did their homework. Terry Fontenot did an incredible job this offseason. Champ, I think with the Matthew Judon trade is making you think much and much less about Dallas Turner, Montez Sweat, all the other defensive ends you could have gotten or acquired in the offseason, but finally you got one right now. On offense, it's going to take some time for Kirk Cousins to get back into where he left off. Remember, he just turned 36 years old, coming off the ruptured Achilles. Remember, I asked the question with you and BRF, which quarterback you looking forward, Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins? You said Kirk Cousins because unlike Aaron Rodgers, he has said and done all the right things.
Yes, sir.
I think with the offensive coordinator, I don't know who's the name of the offensive coordinator. You probably know him. I probably know the name. They're going to do a good job utilizing Bijan Robinson compared to what he was last year with Arthur Smith. I think with Kyle Pitts, that's the X factor on offense because you are expecting a big year from Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts should be in the conversation with one of the best tight ends in the NFL with Travis Kelce, George Kittle, my guy from Oklahoma, Mark Andrews, as well as a lot of other good tight ends.
Yes, sir.
Atlanta, there should be simply no excuse for you not to win that division. Because Lord knows if you can't even win that division, and remember, Chip, there were teams last year in which you lost to against Carolina. You said it. Desmond Ridder could not pass gas even if you fed him refried beans. And here we go. We got Hot Take Kenny in the building. What up, Hot Take Kenny? How you doing, bro? Good, man. We talking about the Atlanta Falcons. Champ, the Falcons better win that division. You can't win that division, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, they better win the division. I think the NFC is going to be tough because the Rams, Sean McVay's still there. Matthew Stafford from UGA, he's still there. They just added Blake Corum, the running back, to pair him up with Kieran Williams. Cooper Kupp, still trying to prove that he can still be the guy for them. Puka Nacua coming off a great rookie season, of course. It's going to be hard, though, with the defense without Aaron Donald. But I still think they're going to be okay. There's Green Bay, of course. San Francisco. Of course, there's Philly. Dallas. There's going to be some teams. But I think, Champ, this is the sign of things to come for the Atlanta Falcons. May not be for right now, but with Michael Penix Jr. learning behind this offense and for the future, I think Atlanta has a bright future to look forward to. But Kenny, what's up, man? What are your thoughts about Atlanta with some of the moves they've made in the offseason? The Matthew Judon trade, they just picked up Justin Simmons to pair him up with Jesse Bates, man. They got AJ Terrell, Darryl Mooney. How good do you think Atlanta can be?
I think their ceiling is the playoffs. I think with the moves of Justin Simmons and Judon. I think their potential is the playoffs. I think this year there's no excuse for the Falcons to miss the playoffs. You know, you got Bijan Robinson on your offense, and you got Cousins, and then Kyle Pitts, of course. You got Drake May as your wide receiver one. So Drake London, that's what I meant to say, Drake London. So, in my opinion, like this is no excuse. I still think either way it can go between the Falcons or the Bucks. So if I don't know, I would say if I'm a Falcons fan, I would be worried because you know what I'm saying it could really go either way between the Bucks or the Falcons. But nah, man, I wish nothing but the best for the Falcons. It's still Rams and one. You still got to go against my Rams. You got to go against the Packers. You got who else? The 49ers, of course. Multiple teams in our conference. So it's like
Yeah.
you still got to fight through a lot. And also, I will say this. I feel like if CD Lamb doesn't like come back with the Cowboys because he wants his contract extension, and the running backs are like washed with the Cowboys. Yes, they have a great defense, but if the Falcons can low key win like 12 games and the Cowboys don't win the games they're predicted, I think they can low key sneak in a spot over the Cowboys. That's just my opinion, though.
Is it because of how you feel about Dak Prescott? Because again, Jerry Jones, he's got to make a serious move because
No,
Dak's going to be a free agent in 2025, and he's got to think about re-signing CD and Micah Parsons.
it ain't got nothing to do with Dak. It's about CD because CD is their like wide receiver one. I think he's very very important to that offense. If they don't have CD Lamb, then
Clearly.
yeah, they're not the Cowboys. They need CD Lamb because there's no running back that they have that can rely on. They lost Tony Pollard in free agency. So who else do they have unless one of their running backs like steps up, and literally he has to step up because Zeke isn't Zeke anymore. They really don't have a wide receiver. They have Brandon Cooks, right?
They have Brendan Cooks. He's solid, but injuries has
he's
been the
injury prone.
problem with him.
He's injury prone. So the only thing the Cowboys will really have to rely on is their defense, and I'm pretty sure they're probably going to choose Micah Parsons over CeeDee Lamb because to me they're more focused on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball.
Right. But I do think, man, this is going to be exciting. And before we continue on with the NFL preseason, Kenny, what are your thoughts about Team USA, men's and women's winning gold?
I'm gonna answer that in a second. Give me 1 second.
All right, no problem. Take your time. But BRF.
I think my daughter's done with me now. I think we're good.
It's all good, man. Hey, listen, you got family first. Always remember that. Family first.
Ooh, Lord. Always. It was her first day of school too, so she was kind of telling me about it and everything. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. BRF, man. I'm gonna get real quick because I gotta ask Kenny this question. Your thoughts on these moves? You talked about Atlanta competing. Champ said basically, I want to paraphrase what Champ said. This is a year they should be excited. Great things to look forward to. They should win this division. Champ and I do agree they should win this division.
Absolutely.
If you can't win this division, man, I don't know what to tell you if you Atlanta.
I mean, honestly, you just move on to next year. I'm a Falcons fan. It is what it is at this point. It's like people hit us with like the 28-3 jokes and all this other stuff. Any bad things that happens with the Atlanta Falcons franchise, I'm numb to it because I'm used to it. So if we don't win the division this year, it is what it is. I'm going to let everybody else bitch about it. I'm going to sit in my corner and be like, it's always next year. What's the point of bitching about it? Ain't gonna do no good. Just let the front office go out, see what they can do and make the team better. If they don't win the division this year, it is what it is. You just move on next year, like I have really in my entirety of existence being an Atlanta Falcons fan because we haven't won a Super Bowl yet. It is what it is. So
hey
man, you can't put it any better. Kenny, you still there, man?
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
Sets this team apart, particularly from the last 2 years, is quarterback stability. We finally have quarterback stability. Kirk Cousins is easily the best quarterback we've had since Matt Ryan left. I know it's only been 2 years, but good God, look what we had to go through. We had to go through Marcus Mariota, we had to go through Desmond Ritter, and we had to go through Taylor Heineke. I hate to say it like this because we want to try to keep it as family. We want to try to keep it as family as possible, and I hate saying it like this, but it's shit on top of shit on top of shit. What else is there to say? What else is there to say? So having the Kirk Cousins finally bring stability to our franchise as far as the quarterback position, because in case people forgot, Kirk Cousins was putting up monster numbers before he tore his ACL, and he didn't have Justin Jefferson a good portion of that. So that just shows you the type of work he was putting in last year before he tore his ACL against Philly. And if I recall, when he tore his ACL against Philly, Champ went on Brandon's podcast at the beginning of the week, and they were talking about the division and everything. And Broad, shout out to Broad Sports, he had said something about shout out to Broad. He had said something about what he say, Champ. He won't worry about them pigeons. When them pigeons come to Philadelphia, they were gonna beat them pigeons. And I wrote a comment, and I said, somebody remind Broad that Kirk Cousins threw for 368 and 4 touchdowns on his Eagles before he tore his ACL. He was like, man, ain't nobody worried about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins destroyed you before he tore his ACL. So let's bring some perspective back. So I'm happy with the direction this team is going. And also, I think a lot of it, no Arthur Smith. Thank you, God, because I know he had input on a lot of the moves that was going on in Atlanta. I am so happy he's gone. Raheem Morris, I feel like he's long deserved an opportunity to get a true head coaching job. I mean, he had the experience in Tampa, but I mean,
We probably lost him.
Don't worry about that. We'll make sure we'll get BRF any point soon. But Kenny, what are your thoughts about Team USA? I always wanted to ask you the question. What do you thoughts on the victories between the men's and the women's?
All right,
because you're catching up on it.
All right, okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Oh, we can hear you now, BRF.
Okay, all right, okay. So, but yeah. So, like I was saying, I'm just glad. I'm glad Terry Fontenot finally has the keys to the kitchen to be able to do all this, to be able to make these moves and actually put his input on this. So I'm happy in the direction that they're going, because I feel like they finally have full on competency to be able to operate and be able to make some of these moves that they're making. Because I mean, come on, we have competency in our front office when you're bringing in a Matt Judon, a Justin Simmons, elite defensive talent who are still technically in their prime, or if nothing else, maybe getting ready to hit the back end, but they still should be giving you real, true, solid contributions to this team. So this is probably the most excited I've been about this franchise really since the beginning of the 2018 season, when I really thought we were really going to turn up on all cylinders, because the defense had been lights out really the second half of 2017 into the playoffs. And you just felt like the offense, I think, they drafted Calvin Ridley. So I just felt like, oh man, we about to, I was excited then, even though it didn't come through fruition. But I am really excited about the direction where they could go. And like I said, they're a dark horse NFC Championship contender. They're a dark horse. I feel like they are one of those, if you're not talking about the obvious front four, they are one of those teams I feel like with the running game we should have, and with the defense I feel like we may finally have, the Atlanta Falcons might finally be able to travel come playoff time to win a playoff game. We'll see. But it's like, I always feel like a running game and a defense travels and can play anywhere come playoff time. And if they really play to their fullest capabilities, we're gonna be scary this year. And I can't believe I'm getting to say that, but I'm excited. I'm excited to where this franchise is. Like I said, we got smart people doing. No more Arthur Smith. It's all Terry Fontenot. I'm excited because I've been saying it for the longest time. Just let Terry cook. Let him do his thing, and then watch what happens. And the man's proving me right. I got to give him props. He has done a hell of a job this offseason. And I just remember in April in the draft, why are we taking Michael Penix? Oh my God, no, we should have taken a pass rusher. Oh my God. I heard it from this way, that way, this. I'm like, y'all, chill. There's got to be a method to the madness, and then look what happens. So I mean, sometimes That's the thing with Falcons, man. We ain't patient down here, man. That's just our thing, man. We ain't patient down here. I just hear it all the time. We ain't patient, and I'm like, why can't we be patient? We ain't won for like 60.
He looked good in that preseason game against Miami.
Look, I for a while I got on the Jaden Daniels bandwagon because I felt like he was really bringing something different to the table. But looking at Michael Penix throw that rock reminded me why I liked him so much over the course of the college football season. That boy's got arm talent. His ball placement is ridiculous. That throw he made on the sideline, he just fitted it like I'm talking about in the breadbasket, perfect. Like if we're going to him in 2 years and he's ready to take it and run with it, even if he takes over next year, I want to see what he does, but for some reason I have this gut feeling I am not worried when we eventually have to turn it over to Michael Penix. I'm not worried. I'm not scared.
All right.
Can I ask a question real quick? PSP.
Sure.
Hey, BR,
go ahead, Champ.
Man. I heard
go
you
ahead,
say
Champ.
we got rid of I heard you say we got rid of Arthur Smith, right? So I gotta ask you this.
Right.
I gotta have a pipe bomb. Who was worse, him or June Jones?
June Jones was at least a competent offensive play caller. Arthur Smith was a Derrick Henry merchant.
Yeah, I agree.
June Jones was at least a competent play caller who implemented his style of offense. And even though it didn't work to the fullest capability in the NFL, you saw what happened when he went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
He was beating people. He was beating people with that offense he had no business beating. Mm-hmm. But he was beating people. Arthur Smith was just a merchant of having Derrick Henry and ridiculous ability to play action because Derrick Henry is one of the greatest running backs we've seen in the last 15, 20 years. So now, I mean, all the best to him in Pittsburgh, but week 1, I hope we destroy him.
All right. Kenny, you still there, man? Kenny?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just catching up on this Friday Night SmackDown, man.
Oh, cool. I just wanted to ask you this question since you love your basketball. What's your thoughts about Team USA, the men's and women's winning the gold?
Okay. I'm really gonna say on the women because it's like, the women are just better than every single country. So I'm not worried about that. I will say this. Hold on, let me bring up easy. But let me just say this about the men. I feel like Steve Kerr got exposed as a coach. I will say that because there's no shape or way in form that Jason Tatum is not playing. No shit. There's no way. One, you're playing small lineups against Serbia, where Serbia has a lot of big men. And one, Anthony Edwards was missing a lot of shots. And, you have another dude on your bench by the name of Jason Tatum, like I just said. And mind you, Serbia was way bigger than the United States. And you mean to tell me you put a 6'5" guard out there and you got a 6'10" guard that's on the bench that literally can do the same thing Anthony Edwards can do, and you don't play him not one time. It's just ridiculous to me. And then you make an excuse saying like, "Oh, it's like chess." Like, no, there's no chess, bro. You just can't coach. And a lot of people and Warriors fans been complaining about it. It's just that now we're just finally seeing it.
All right.
That's what I really have to say.
All right, BRF, is there anything you want to add or include?
I think you kind of saw that with the whole James Wiseman experiment not working in Golden State because he tried to implement him in that style, and James Wiseman isn't that style of center. That's why when he went to Detroit, he actually had a moderate amount of success because he played a more realistic style that fit him. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a skill set. He's got some handles, but at the end of the day, I mean, at the end of the day, he can give you some shots, but he's more of a he can give you three every now and then. He can't shoot, but he's more of a half court type of big. I mean, he's more of a half court type of big. He can run the court. He can run the court. He showed you glimpses of that, but he's not like, I won't say a fully traditional big because he can't shoot the ball, but he fits more of the half court scheme. That's why you kind of saw like it didn't really work with him. And then like with John, like I don't know, it's like Steve Kerr and Biggs just don't get along for some reason, or like big athletic guys. It's like he tries to small ball it too much. He tries to he tries to do the lineup he tries to do the hell lineup way too much, and it's just you can't do that against every rotation, because when you run up against that lineup that's going to throw some 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" guys at you, how do you adapt to that? You got to slow it down. You got to play more of a half court scheme. You got to, ball movement, screens, and all that stuff. And just you did kind of.
Not just with Jason Tatum.
They want to go. They want to go in spite of him. They want to go in spite of him.
Right. Not just with Jason Tatum. Look how the way Joel Embiid. There were times Joel Embiid didn't get enough playing time. So with Jason Tatum, I don't understand. Unfortunately for Jason Tatum, despite the year that he's had winning the championship and the gold, unfortunately, people are still going to be knocking him and questioning him. Steph, that game against France, my God, he was cooking in that game. Bron, what more can you say? Look, Champ, I asked Champ the question, do you think with this victory, has he now surpassed the GOAT? Champ still has Jordan. If you want to say LeBron, I got no problem with it, really. I don't really care who's the GOAT, whether you have LeBron or Jordan. If you want to say Bron because of what he's done, totality of his career and what he's still doing. Man is about to be 40 years old in 4 months, and he's still playing at an elite level. AD, his defense, I mean, the way he can still defend, the way he can still impact and block shots, it's just impressive. Devin Booker early on in that game against France, he was cooking as well. Impressive with Team USA. Let's get back to the NFL preseason. Unfortunately, injury. Minnesota Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy suffered a torn meniscus. Unfortunately, he is out for the rest of the season. Very devastating news. Shout out to our guy Roundup, diehard Minnesota Vikings fan. I have a very unique idea what the NFL should do. Since the NFL likes entertaining so many ideas, the jersey, with the kickoff, the onside rules, they should make this the J.J. McCarthy rule. In other words, they should take a page out of the NBA's book. You know how players in their actual rookie season, like Ben Simmons, Blake Griffin, didn't play, and then the following year they competed and won Rookie of the Year? That's what I think the NFL should do. I think if you want to make it exciting, because hell, look, don't tell me the NFL ain't thinking about making more money. Shit, you benefited enough last year with Taylor Swift, whether intentionally or not. You benefited with a lot of other things. And you're looking to make the game more appeasing for fans, whether casual or whatever. Hey, if you want to make it exciting, create the J.J. McCarthy rule. Allow players who didn't play their actual rookie season the following season have a legitimate chance to compete for Rookie of the Year. Who knows? And when you look at J.J. McCarthy, I did not think he was going to be a first-round pick. I thought he was going to be like a round 2 or round 3 pick. But in that preseason game, I thought he looked sharp. He threw 1 interception, but overall, I thought he looked sharp. I thought he looked very impressive. And the Minnesota Vikings, they traded up in the draft just to take him, I think, 10th overall. So the Minnesota Vikings damn sure thought a hell of a lot more on J.J. McCarthy. I think that the NFL should reconsider having players who've missed out their rookie season have a chance to compete for Rookie of the Year, because you're all about ratings. You're all about trying to make money. You're all about trying to do a lot of other things. You just made changes with the onside rules. You made changes with the overtime rules. You made changes with the kickoff rules. Yeah, I just mentioned you benefited off of Taylor Swift. I know, I would know. I've been to plenty of Dick's Sporting Good stores, and I saw Taylor Swift T-shirts with Travis Kelce on. Yes, I did. I did see Travis. I did see Taylor
You're
Swift.
serious, right?
No, I'm not joking. They were selling. The only reason why they were putting Travis Kelce stuff is because of Taylor Swift. They didn't, and I live in New Jersey.
Oh wow.
I live in Jersey. I live in Jersey. They were putting out Travis Kelce T-shirts all because of Taylor Swift, and
That's
the NFL benefited off of it. So NFL, I think you should create a JJ McCarthy rule, allow rookies to compete in their actual rookie season for the following year. And we got Kieran in the building. What up, Kieran?
It's good, yo.
Good, man. We're just talking about JJ McCarthy, but whoever wants to go first, what are your thoughts about JJ McCarthy with the injury, and what do you think what the Vikings should do?
He's out for the whole season, right?
Yeah, he's out for the whole season.
Here's my whole thing about that. Look, when we really look back on the Minnesota Vikings, they've never had stability at the quarterback position. They haven't had a quarterback long term. I'm talking about for years and years to come that you can identify with the team since that guy from UGA by the name of Fran Tarkenton. They haven't had it. And when you look back on their history, there's always guys getting hurt and somebody stepping in order to fill that void. And I posted a video about this earlier. I think that Sam Darnold has a chance to be the Tommy Maddox of this year if those wide receivers can stay healthy for the Minnesota Vikings. Hey, let me break something down to everybody, people who don't follow football. We saw Brad Johnson get hurt during the 1998 season, one of the greatest offenses of all time. People don't realize Brad Johnson was not the starting quarterback at the beginning of that season. Excuse me, Randall Cunningham was not the starting quarterback at the beginning of that 98 season. Brad Johnson was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw Brad Johnson get hurt and virtually Randall Cunningham come out of nowhere and have a comeback player of the year season. We saw Brad Johnson get hurt again the year after that. Rich Gannon comes in. We saw a guy who me and you are very, very familiar with have a revival season in Minnesota by the name of Jeff George. We saw Jeff George make the playoffs with the Minnesota Vikings.
Hey,
so
what about
my thing is,
Yes.
this is that the new for Minnesota. There's quarterbacks in their franchise that have always been getting hurt. Their franchise quarterback has, it's been a revolving door. It's been a revolving door for many, many years. And for these magical seasons, think about the Case Keenum season. Think about that season. They went all the way to the NFC Championship with that. Thanks to Stephon Diggs, a lot of those skill position players. They don't miss when it comes to skill position and defense. However, they're cursed at their quarterback position since Fran Tarkenton. But with Minnesota, they always have a habit of having these rabbit out of the hat type of years when it comes to quarterback.
Brett Favre?
And depending on well, that's a whole other ball game. Yeah, that's a whole that too, I would say. But the thing is, does it scare me with the Minnesota Vikings? No. You have an injury to another quarterback. Sam Darnold, you have a chance to revive your career. And depending on how long Jordan Addison is out, and if Justin Jefferson can come back healthy, and you have a hell of a tight end in Hackinson. I would say, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, but the thing is, Hawkinson, excuse me. Thank you, Kenny. You have a chance to revive your career, even if it is for only 1 year. But we've seen a lot of one-year wonders in Minnesota. We saw Jeff George. We saw Rich Gannon before he went to the Oakland Raiders. We saw Case Keenum. We saw Brad Johnson. We saw Randall Cunningham have a magical season. We've seen many guys go to Minnesota and pull rabbit out of the hat seasons with those receivers and those skill position players that they've had. So guess what? Sam Darnold, you have the greatest chance in the world this year to at least add one Pro Bowl year to your resume and kill that myth of you and kill the narrative. I would say it's not a myth, it's a narrative of you being a bust. Now it's not going to be easy. You in the blood and guts division. Just gonna keep it real. You are in the blood and guts division. You got the Packers to deal with, you got the Bears to deal with, and you got the Lions who's coming fresh off their NFC championship, and they hungry and they ready to eat. You have a chance though. So it's up to you, Sam Darnold. What are you gonna do with it? Are you gonna be the guy that we remember in New York and all of these places? Or did the great Kyle Shanahan coach you up enough in order for you to be productive at this point in time, now that you have a spotlight? That's up to you. But guess what? An injured quarterback in Minnesota, it's like having a beer on a Tuesday. It's gonna happen.
I'm wondering, could Sam Darnold can even be better than Christian Ponder? But
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look, like I said, with Minnesota, it's always been a revolving door. It's like I said, it's never long term when it comes to them at the quarterback position.
No, that's true.
They have a guy for a couple of years and then boom. I mean, they had Warren Moon for a couple of years and then they had to transition to Brad Johnson, Rich Gannon. It's always been a revolving door. So when they have another quarterback at the helm that's not originally the starter, it doesn't really bother me because guess what? I mean, it's always been like that with Minnesota ever since Fran Tarkenton left. So it's like, okay, are you going to be able to pull a rabbit out of the hat season like some of those other quarterbacks have? Like I said, they make the playoffs with Jeff George.
I still don't know who that is.
I mean,
quarterback.
You don't want. I mean, for all sake of purpose, you don't. Just keep it that way.
Take Jay Cutler and then downgrade him about times 5. You get Jeff George.
But, you should know who Jay Cutler is, Kenny. You should know.
So
no. He's basically Jeff George is basically Jay Cutler with a stronger arm and even less of an IQ.
Exactly. So yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even sure if he has a strong arm. Jay Cutler had a rocket.
I mean, Jeff
George has one of the strongest arms I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, one of the prettiest balls you ever want to see.
It's very debatable. It's very debatable between him, Jeff George, Cutler. I mean, there have been a lot of quarterbacks coming out of the draft that have had strong arms. We know obviously number 1 overall pick, Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah.
So we can't forget him as well. But Champ, to your point, Minnesota quarterback, they haven't really found a long-term quarterback. They even had some successful seasons with Dante Culpepper. Solid quarterback from Central Florida. So
then he ruined his leg.
Yeah. Kenny, what are your thoughts about JJ McCarthy's injury and what's next for the Vikings?
Not really. I don't know if I'm the Vikings, I would really be worried. I predict next year he'll probably be comeback player of the year, and this might sound like a hot take. He'll have a Joe Burrow caliber season.
Oh,
that's my hot take on it.
Like players wise or like stat wise, really?
Both. I don't know. It really just depends because you know what I'm saying. Joe Burrow didn't really have that, upcoming year until like Jamar Chase got there. So I feel like it would be the same way for JJ McCarthy.
All right, Kieran, what are your thoughts about the JJ McCarthy injury?
So I think a lot of people are blowing this out of proportion. No, the Vikings aren't screwed. Like JJ McCarthy, even if he played this year, I don't think it would have been make much of a difference because JJ McCarthy outside the numbers is actually horrendous. But the reason why they drafted him is because he's great over the middle of the field, which a lot of quarterbacks are not great coming out of college. Like Zach Wilson was not great at that. I don't even think Caleb Caleb was good at it, but compared to JJ McCarthy, I'm not sure if he was as good. But the Vikings are going in the right direction. Their weapons are obviously great. I think on paper, if you stack them up with any other team with their weapons, they're probably around top 5. They just really need a quarterback because I like the philosophy Brian Flores is going for. The defense is getting better. But I will say this about Sam Darnold. This is the best situation he's ever had in his career. I'm not counting 49ers because he barely played, but you compare it to the Jets and Carolina, it's night and day. We'll see what can do because he is pretty talented, and he's only 26. So I don't know. We'll see if he sucks or not. But
let's hope he's not seeing Ghost. Let's better hope he's not seeing Ghost.
Adam Gase, crazy.
Hey, listen, man. Sam Darnold, they drafted him 3rd overall to the Jets. Adam Gase did a terrible job with him. Carolina, I thought, okay, no one is expecting Sam Darnold to turn around that franchise, but it was supposed to be better when you had Joe Brady and Matt Rule, and that couldn't even work out. They even brought Cam at one point in time, so we can't forget that. BRF. Vikings.
Yeah. I was getting ready to say, yeah, man. As long as they don't have Sam Darnold seeing any ghosts up there, he'll do a little something. But like what Kieran was saying, like coming into the year as the starting quarterback, this is easily the best situation he's ever had. I mean, if you're taking all things into account, if they're all healthy, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson is easily the best trio of hands he's ever had to throw the football to. And then you got a serviceable back behind you in Alexander Madison, even though he's got to fix those fumbles. I mean, he's a talented back if he can keep his hands on the ball. So this is easy to. That's right, and bringing Aaron Jones as well. So this is easily the best offensive situation he's ever come into. So
sure did go to the Vikings. I forgot.
He did. I think I don't know. I really wasn't fearful of the Vikings really doing anything this year anyway. Just cause even if JJ McCarthy was going to be the starter, I wasn't necessarily like pegging them like as a playoff team this year. I don't think they were going to get into the playoffs regardless. But I will say I do. Prayers go out to him, to JJ McCarthy. Hopefully he does come back next year and he can kind of make the most of the opportunity to come back and play well and have a solid NFL career. I wish that for him. But if Sam Darnold is ever going to put any type of dent, any type of positive dent in the National Football League, this is the year to do it because you have very talented skill position players to throw the ball to. So if he's ever going to do it, he's going to do it now. If he can't produce with Jay Jettas and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, if he can't produce with them, he might well just pack it up because those are three
Baker Mayfield type of season.
It's lining up for him to have that type of year with these types of weapons. I mean, it really is. If he can't do it with this, just pack it up. Just pack it up. It's really.
Yeah. I think the only difference between him and Baker is that Baker has shown like in good moments, like he can be serviceable. Like
I feel you on that, Kieran.
I
don't think he needs to have. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, what I mean by that is he has to have at least a solid enough season to still have an NFL job.
That's
because
true.
When you look back at that 2018 draft class, it's ironic to me that Lamar Jackson was the last pick in the first round. Josh Allen was the 3rd quarterback taken. Remember, Baker Mayfield went number 1 overall. Saquon was the 2nd overall pick. No surprise there. Darnold was like the 3rd overall pick. Josh Allen was like the 7th overall pick. And if you look at it right now, Lamar Jackson, I think, has enough of a case to say he's in the Hall of Fame. Josh Allen is still one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL.
I think both Hall of Famers, really.
Yeah. Patrick Mahomes is still in the class by himself. But for Sam Darnold, he needs to have a good enough season. Because remember, last year with the Minnesota Vikings, without Kirk Cousins, they won some games with Dobbs at quarterback, Josh Dobbs at quarterback.
Freaking Josh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kieran.
Yeah, trash. But anyway, yeah, like Sam Darnold, like I will say this. I think he can be serviceable. I don't think he'll be absolutely awful because he actually has a rocket. I'm not gonna lie. He has a good arm. Like
And legs.
yeah, and legs. He's pretty mobile and I don't know. I don't believe he's like as trash as a lot of people say he is because I do think the Jets like ruined him. I think like quarterback development is like the most important what kind of situation you go. He really got screwed by Adam Gase. Like he really did.
The Jets quarterback's always been mid.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, you ain't got to tell me twice. I saw the New York Jets with Mark Sanchez, the butt fumble.
They developed him horrible.
Well,
I mean, it's Adam Gase we're talking about here. It's not like it's Adam Gase he was talking. It's Adam Gase we were talking about. Dude had no business touching. In my opinion, just watching him with the Jets, dude had no business head coaching job there on Miami. He had no business being a head coach. It was he was just god awful.
yeah.
Only reason why he got the head coaching job with the Miami Dolphins is because of what he did as the offensive coordinator in 2015 for the Chicago Bears when he was working with Jay Cutler. Because the previous year in 2014, Jay Cutler led the NFL in turnovers. And then the following year, Jay Cutler improved his touchdown to interception ratio, and then suddenly he gets a head coaching job for the Miami Dolphins. Outside his first year, he didn't really do much for Miami.
Plus it also helps when you're offensive coordinator. When you're the
Of
offensive
course.
coordinator again with one of the
Of
greatest
course,
offenses.
yeah. Obviously, when you're an offensive coordinator and when you do something, you're gonna probably more chances than not you're gonna get a head coaching job, unless if your name is Eric Bieniemy.
He was really the offensive coordinator for 2013 Peyton Manning, the guy who threw 55 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's crazy. But fellas, let's continue on to football.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick, Jim Harbaugh, now the current head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. He did an interview with USA Today's Jared Bell about the possibility of joining the Los Angeles Chargers coaching staff. He thinks that Kaepernick will be a tremendous fit for the team. Obviously, they have a great relationship going back to their days at the San Francisco 49ers. Look, Colin Kaepernick did try out for a workout at Michigan while Jim Harbaugh was there. I'm going to say this. Colin Kaepernick's football career as far as playing is over because he's been out of the league for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if he wants to have any association with the NFL whatsoever, I think he should take this job. And for those who may have a problem with Jim Harbaugh giving this job, keep in mind a couple of years ago, Urban Meyer did bring in Tim Tebow to Jacksonville to play tight end, a position that Tim Tebow never played before.
And he was also out of the league for 6 years.
The last time Tim Tebow played, I think it was December of 2012 when he was with the New York Jets. So,
yeah.
When I look at this, I don't have a problem with it. People want to look at it and say nepotism. All right, fine. I don't care. But I think for Cap, does he want to take this opportunity as a coach, whether quarterback coach, assistant coach, whatever? It's up to him to decide what he wants to do. His football NFL playing career is done. I don't see him back in the NFL, back on the field. But it's up to Cap to determine what he wants to do. Do you want to be back in the NFL? Maybe not as a player, but as a coach. I think he should take the opportunity. He has a great relationship with Jim Harbaugh. They both respect each other. I think he should take it. But that's only up to Cap. Whoever wants to go. What are your thoughts about it?
I will say this. Look, Cap, if you run across this show, one of the greatest shows ever, by the way.
Thank you.
If you hear this, I would advise you to stop what you're doing. And if you really want to be in the NFL, go ahead and be a coach. Because at this point, I hate to say it because I was a fan of yours. I still am a fan of yours, regardless. You're not going to play anymore. You're not going. That ship has long gone and sailed into the ocean, and it has sunk like the Titanic.
Wow.
it gets sunk like the Titanic. It's gone. People notice how rusty that Deshaun Watson was when he came back. That was after 2 years. That was after 2 long years. And when you're out of the game 8 years and you have not played any type of organized football at all, you haven't been in the UFL, you haven't been in the Arena League, you haven't been in the CFL, your timing is off, and the only thing you're doing is training. As an athlete myself, as a former amateur athlete myself, amateur boxing, look, I can tell you, a week out of the gym will hurt you, much less 8 years. You can do all the cardiovascular on the treadmill in the gym that you want, but once you step in that ring or on that field, it's a whole nother different type of shape. And the game at certain points pass you by. If you had kept playing, I would say, hey, give the man a shot. If you went to the one or the other league, I would say give him a shot. But those times are gone. And make sure when you come back, if you come back into the NFL, make sure you stay below the radar. Make sure you protect not only yourself, but your team's reputation at all times. Don't be a distraction. Don't find yourself in the eyes of the media every single time you look up, because they're going to be watching. I would accept this job if you want to get back in the NFL, because you have a hell of a lot that you can teach to these young guys coming into the league. You've been to a Super Bowl. You've been one of the faces of the league in a short period of time. You've had a magnificent, the ascension that you had in the NFL was nothing short of amazing. One day you was at the University of Nevada, and then less than 2 years later, you advertising for Jaguar, the automobile company. We saw the ads. You saw all over the place. And you had a meteoric rise. So you know a little something about success coming at you fast and how quickly you can lose it. Fair or unfair, I will say. But you have a lot that you can teach each and every last one of these things, not just football perspective. Hey, you want to get back in the NFL? Go ahead, take that head coaching job. Please don't be a distraction. Always know that everybody's going to be looking at you hand over fist. And make sure you don't give them anything to talk about. Hey, I know people will say that's a little bit too humbling, but in this world, in this business, you got to be humble and you got to go along to get along sometimes. Be humble, come back to the NFL as a coach, teach these young men, and hell, you just never know. We've seen miracles happen all the time. You come back, you be a coach, you can arguably, and if you become a head coach, if you're good, if you follow the teachings of a coach like a Jim Harbaugh, we could very well 10, 15 years from now be talking about one of the greatest comeback stories or stories in NFL history if you were to become a head coach. And these days, once you get certain experience behind certain coaches, it doesn't take you that long to become a head coach. And if you don't believe that, look at what Mike Holmgren did with John Gruden, what he did with Steve Mariucci, what he did with Andy Reid. Look at what Bill Walsh did to a lot of members of his coaching staff who are still coaching to his day from that coaching tree. Meteoric rises. So meteoric rises happen every day and you live through one. It's time to put them playing days aside, come back, be a coach, stay below the radar, don't be a distraction to the team, come on back and coach. And guess what? Teach this younger generation some value and teach them something about how to play in the NFL. You've been there.
Just want to add on to something. Harbaugh told reporters on Thursday Kaepernick won't be a part of the Chargers staff in 2024 as a coach or player. This is a quote from Jim Harbaugh. I love Colin, but he's not going to be on the coaching staff I said for this year, and he's not going to be playing on the roster either. So they've had this discussion within January, according to USA Today's Jared Bell. Kenny,
Yo,
what do you think Cap should do?
honestly, I really don't want him to pull a Watson. Like Champ said, it's been 8 years since he's been in the league. So, for your own safety and your own injury, If I were you, like that champ said, I would just get in the coaching, man. Because, like, man, you haven't been in the league in 8 years. So, if I were you in this situation, I would just hang it up, bro. Like, help develop Justin Herbert, help him become a better player and, a person. So, I don't know. If I were him in this situation, I would just turn into a coach, like you guys are saying.
All right. Kieran?
Yeah, I agree with Kenny. I don't think he should play. One, he's 36 years old. It's very rare for a quarterback coming after 8 years and still like even being a tolerable backup. And I said this about Colin Kaepernick before. He has one of the weirdest careers I've ever seen in the NFL. Basically taking over for the starting job after Alex Smith got injured, going to the Super Bowl, going to another NFC Championship game, and then basically out of the league in 3 years. I haven't seen a lot of quarterbacks do that. Usually, Super Bowl quarterbacks, even if they're not good, still get quarterback jobs. It's like even though Colin Kaepernick, in his own right, has turned down a backup quarterback job in the Ravens, I believe, when he got released from the Niners. He hasn't really gotten another one since. And honestly, people are blowing the coaching thing out of proportion. We've seen numerous times that players have gotten jobs and they haven't coached a lick of football in their life. I can think of one right now, Hines Ward. Wes Welker is another one. Even Jerron Mayo is a head coach right now. Nepotism happens a lot in the NFL, and people don't realize it. And for people to say that, like, oh, Colin Kaepernick can't get a coaching job, it's just
Though.
I think we lost BR. Oh, no, now we got him. Kieran, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. If he really wants to get back in the NFL, don't play. I would just coach, really. So nepotism happens a lot. That's what I was going to say. But
Nah, well said. BRF.
Yeah, I mean, there's really – I agree with pretty much everybody on the panel here. I mean, I think one thing I've seen a little bit of in the comments is like – it's like I guess people talking about Colin Kaepernick and like being a coach, and then you'll see something like, man, what did Colin Kaepernick learn, to be a coach? He wasn't successful his last few years as a quarterback, and I'm just like, okay, just because he kind of didn't succeed as well as like he wanted to the last couple of years in San Francisco. At the end of the day, you're still around the coaches. You're still reading the playbook. You're still learning the scheme. You're still learning the routes, the coverages, and all that stuff. That's still knowledge that you're still picking up. That you can bring that knowledge if you wanted to be a coach to another team. So, like I said, a lot of quarterbacks who sucked playing turn into pretty decent head coaches or offensive coordinators or assistants, just from the standpoint of understanding what the NFL is, whatever era they're in, as far as like plays and schemes and routes
BRF.
and just yes. What's up?
you know who's a bad quarterback that actually like turned into a pretty decent head coach? Even more than that, Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, great example. He wasn't the greatest quarterback, but he turned into a hell of a coach. You see that happen quite a bit. So I would definitely highly, strongly consider it if I was Colin Kaepernick to be a coach, because I mean, you're still, even if you're not playing, you're still around the coaches. You're still talking about the basis of what football is. You're talking about what football is. So you can't nobody tell me, being around Jim Harbaugh like he was, being around the game as long as he had, and understanding and having an understanding of certain concepts and things and stuff like that, being a quarterback, you can't tell me he couldn't at least, start off like on the assistant level and bring something to a team as far as helping the quarterback out. I think he should give it a shot if I was him. I would go into coaching. Yeah, because 8 years out of the league, not playing. Yeah, just pack that up. He shouldn't even consider it anymore. I know he did the interview saying he feel like he can still bring something to a team after 8 years. You may feel like it, but nobody is going to take a chance on you 8 years out of the league. I mean, that's rare. Like, how many times have you really seen that? What, Tommy Maddox, Doug Flutie, that's it. And that was like the luck of the draw, miracle seasons. So I mean, nah. I mean, it's too rare. It's too rare. If I was Colin Kaepernick, I would just like, I would highly, if somebody wants me to be a coach, I would highly consider it because I still feel like he could bring something to the table because he's obviously a smart dude. He obviously knows about the game of football. So I definitely feel like he could bring something as a coach. If I was him, I'd strongly consider it.
I agree. Like I said before, his playing career is over. Hey, what better way to get an opportunity in the NFL as a coach with a guy who I had a great relationship with going back to my days in San Francisco. And the guy loves me and I respect him. And if I'm Cap, but again, at the end of the day, it's up to Cap what he wants to do. I mean, I commend Cap for what he's done as far as with his social activism. I mean, I think he was great. I had no problem with the protests and what he was doing at the time because, again, he was bringing awareness to an issue that needed. And when considering everything that has transpired, with a lot of travesties, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, obviously, what happened with the young woman in Illinois, Sonia Massey.
Yes.
Again, Colin Kaepernick, I commend him for the protest. I had no problem with it. Again, that I think people, particularly in the media and the public, took it out of context in terms of what he was trying to do. He was bringing awareness to an issue regarding social injustice, police brutality, all these other things. And I think with Cap, he can still do that. And if he wants to be a head coach, let him. Players, some players, they'll still have respect for Colin Kaepernick. He can provide a perspective. He could provide insight. He has knowledge. He understands what type of offense Jim Harbaugh likes to run. After all, he's been there.
Mm-hmm.
And he could also help out a young ascending quarterback in Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is the best quarterback Jim Harbaugh has had since Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh was the head coach at Stanford, and he had Andrew Luck. We all knew Andrew Luck coming out of Stanford, number 1 overall pick. A lot of draft experts said best quarterback prospect since John Elway. And I think for Cap to help out Justin Herbert, hey, that could be a great thing. That could build a rapport for him regarding the NFL. I think, but only who knows? But at the end of the day, it's up to Cap to see what he wants to do. All right, fellas, let's get into some wrestling. Kieran will go first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite Brock Lesnar moment?
This is easy for me. It's his return in 2012 because, one, I didn't really know who Brock Lesnar was because I was like 10. And when he came out, I was like, holy crap, this guy is freaking huge. He's about to destroy Cena. And guess what he did? He destroyed Cena. And I still love that moment. It's still awesome that he came back, looking back at it. And then he went on this run after that and really just revitalized his career. So that's my favorite moment from Brock. But
BRF?
Oh, man.
Don't say I
Favorite
didn't surprise you because you got mad as me the other 2 weeks ago when I brought up Undertaker.
Bro,
That's my least-
because you know which wrestlers to pick, because you know they have so many moments and it's hard to single out one, and Brock Lesnar is another one. So kudos to you for coming up with these really good topics.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly. Great minds think alike. You hit that nail right on the head, though. But if I have to pick one, my all-time favorite Brock Lesnar moment was I'm trying to remember which year it was. I think it was I believe it was SummerSlam 20. Yep, it was SummerSlam 2014, where he just absolutely treated John Cena like a rag doll. I mean, that was very rarely, and people talked about it too. Very rarely do you see a World Heavyweight Championship match, all intents and purposes, be a squash match? That's exactly what that was. And the story about it, that was John Cena's idea.
Yeah.
The story behind that match is that was Cena's idea. Cena was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
he talked about it.
Brock Lesnar, after beating The Undertaker, we don't need to 50-50 this, man. Let that man beat my ass. and that's exactly what happened. And just like, I'm talking about, he suplexed that man, what, like 23, 24 times in that match? Like, I've never, and I mean, for what they were doing with Brock Lesnar, that was the perfect way to solidify him as like, okay, this is the new final boss of the WWE. He's going to be the final boss up until WrestleMania 31 when Roman Reigns wins the Rumble, and we're going to try to make this work. Just for me, it's SummerSlam 2014, just because I'm a Cena guy. I'm a Cena fan. But I'm a fan of Brock and his style because I just the way he dominates people, and as athletic as he is, but to be as big as he is, I mean, the dude. I think that match he was wrestling like 286, 287. So you got to think about just the sheer mass of an individual he is, but still being able to move the way he can, being able to operate the way he can, and one thing some people don't like, I kind of don't like this about Brock, but I kind of understand from his perspective. And it's like, one of the stories about Brock is, if he likes you and he wants to work with you, he will sell the living daylights out of that match for you. See AJ Styles Survivor Series match. If you think I'm joking, he sold like hell for AJ Styles in that match because he always wanted to work with AJ. But for me, it's SummerSlam 2014, my all-time favorite Brock Lesnar moment, because that's one of the few squash matches I've seen in my life I could probably watch on repeat. Just how great of a performance that was on him, to be able to just make you believe, like, yeah, no one's gonna stand it. Yeah, he's got this belt until WrestleMania. He's gonna make it to WrestleMania because nobody's gonna beat him. And they needed to establish him after beating The Undertaker, ending the streak. They needed something, and having them absolutely beat the daylights out of John Cena was the absolute right move. And I just think that match was so epic. I have more, but if I got to single out one as my favorite, it's probably SummerSlam 2014. That's my all-time favorite Brock moment.
It's fun. It's funny that you mentioned that match, because I don't think we're going to see like a match like that again. Like,
no.
It's at SummerSlam main event. You're facing the face of the company, the world title, and you squash him for nearly 20 minutes. When has a title match been a 20-minute squash match? I've never seen that in my life.
I had never seen it up to that point, because the championship match is supposed to be the end all be all to that show. It's supposed to be the match that just sends the crowd home in the frenzy, because it's supposed to tear the house down. And it tore the house down, but on one side, because Brock Lesnar ripped John Cena apart. And you'll probably never see that again, because I mean, just I don't know. It's just there's not a I don't think we'll ever see. We may see another guy down. I mean, they're trying to build up guys. Braun, I love Braun, but he ain't even on that level yet. Trust me. I know what you're saying. I mean, Braun Breaker's got a shot to do some great things, but Brock Lesnar's just a different tier of just animal.
Do you remember his first match? Even though it wasn't a non-title one, it was against Cena, and although Cena won that one, Extreme Rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I love that one too. But I remember that too, because I think what the WWE wanted to see with Brock being gone for so long was, could we sell tickets with him? Could we draw with him? And then when they saw that he could draw with him, it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, he back. We finna the first chance we get, we're gonna push homeboy to the moon. So, that Extreme, yeah.
Speaking of that, I think if Brock beats Cena at Extreme Rules, the streak never would have been broken. really, because I think Brock was like treated like crap his first 2 years. Like he lost to Cena, and then he loses to H at WrestleMania. So like he's not like this beast, really. Like when he was brought back, he was known as like the beast, and they just want to turn him into this animal. So they kind of put themselves in the corner with Undertaker and Brock. They're like, yeah, if Brock loses this match, like he really shouldn't win the title because he's not credible as a beast anymore, really.
Undertaker was supposed to win that match. They changed it up on the fly because he got hurt.
Yeah.
Wait, at WrestleMania?
Yeah, WrestleMania 30. Undertaker was supposed to go over Brock, but I think Undertaker suffered a concussion in that match, and they had to switch it up. And that's why they let Brock beat him. Undertaker was supposed to win that match.
I thought Taker was going to turn that match.
He was supposed to win that match. They switched it on the fly because he suffered a concussion in that match. So they switched the ending up on the fly. Undertaker was supposed to go over him, but
yeah,
I feel like I don't think Brock Lesnar should have been the one to do it, but that's a whole nother conversation. So
I don't think it's the worst pick in the world, though.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't the worst. He wasn't the worst pick to do it. And at the end of the day, it paid off because you got cinema out of him over the next year in terms of who he beat and how he beat him. So yeah. You got some really good performances out of Brock over that year, leading up into WrestleMania 31, and then beyond that, because the Brock Lesnar Undertaker rivalry, to be as one-sided as that rivalry is one of the most underrated rivalries in the history of the sport.
Kenny.
Well, Undertaker, I think this was like, I forgot which pay-per-view this was, but Undertaker returned and he like hit Brock in the you know what.
Oh yeah,
that match after Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Battleground 2015, I think.
And
yes.
The next episode, Brock and Undertaker was just going at it, bro. Like that, Brock wanted to beat the crap out of the Undertaker. It was. Oh my god! To me, that was the funniest. That was like one of the most entertaining things I've seen Brock do for sure. That's one. To me, that's my all-time favorite Brock Lesnar moment. But number two, I would have to say was when he suplexed Big Show off the off the ring top.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a classic Brock moment. It's like, man, when we talk about Brock, that's like something you have to bring up. It's that Big Show situation where he literally lifted him off the off the turnbuckle and the ring just collapsed.
Bro, it's so funny.
Yeah, so I would say the Undertaker brawl and the Big Show one for sure.
It's so funny about the Big Show versus Brock because like Taz is there and the commentary is just like
Michael Cole's
so funny. He's like, "Holy shit, what the hell just happened?" It's so funny, but yeah.
Champ.
Oh, y'all can hear me?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
No, it's all good.
Favorite Brock Lesnar moment, man. This is one for the ages. There's not just one moment. There's a year in particular that I love seeing from Brock Lesnar, and that was his rookie year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Arguably one of the greatest rookie years you're ever going to see from a superstar. I mean, he was running through guys. I mean, beat some of the most overest guys in the history. Started off by beating the Hardys, arguably one of the most greatest tag teams in history. Arguably, I still take the Road Warriors, but arguably one of the most greatest tag team in here. Started with that. Then you go on between that time. You beat Mark Henry, world's strongest man. You beat Rikishi, arguably one of the biggest, stars during that time. Everybody remember the steak face. Then you go over on Hulk Hogan on national television, not on a pay-per-view. You go over on Hulk Hogan, doing his comeback story on national television. Then to top that all off, then you go and become the youngest at the time. I do stress at the time. You become the youngest world heavyweight champion in WWE history by going over on the biggest superstar during the Attitude Era next to Stone Cold Steve Austin. You go over on him. And one can arguably say the minute that Brock Lesnar beat The Rock, that is when the Attitude Era ended. then that is when the ruthless aggression era reared its head. That day when he beat The Rock at SummerSlam, that was what solidified the Attitude Era being officially over at that point in time. Then, to top that all off, you beat The Rock, you beat Hulk Hogan, you beat the greatest tag team arguably of all time, you beat Mark Henry, you beat Rikishi. Then you go into Hell in a Cell and beat The Undertaker. You go into
One
Hell
of the
in a
more
Cell.
underrated Hell in a Cell matches of all time. That match was amazing.
I mean, hey, The Rock be talking about the final boss. Back then, everybody knew the punishment for getting wrong with Teddy Long. Tonight, you will go one-on-one with The Undertaker. You think you about to have a smooth night if you want to. When you went to SmackDown and you crossed Teddy Long, everybody knew your punishment was The Undertaker. So the thing is, and then even though he lost, even though during Survivor Series he lost, to have him being, because remember he did all that as a heel, one of the greatest rookie years of all time as a heel. Then you switch it up at Survivor Series, you know, him being turned on by Paul Heyman. Then you going into the next year and him topping that rookie year off against Kurt Angle at WrestleMania.
Forgot the Rumble.
One of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. I mean, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar, you know, the amateur wrestling background. All
that match was perfect.
I mean, Brock Lesnar, you know, nearly injured himself with the shooting star press, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the greatest rookie years of all time, man. And that it was a multitude because, you know, you as a person who loves to cheer the babyface, you know, I was a child, you know, still back then in 2002. You still cheer for the babyface. It's like there's no way he's going to beat Mark Henry. Damn, he beat Mark Henry. There's no, I mean, world's strongest man. They call him. That's not just a moniker. It's a fact.
Yeah.
So he was waiting for him to lose.
Yeah, he was Olympian. So, yeah.
I swear, Jim, you still in my notes, man. Like you stole all my thunder. Damn, are you Bill Belichick? Are you Spygating?
No. Hey, like I say, man, great minds think alike, man. And I was still a child during that time, man. 2002 was a very, very interesting year, man. That was the year after 9/11.
Yeah.
Year after 9/11. And you know,
I'm gonna say something real quick before.
I was one. So.
That's crazy.
No, that you had brought up Hulk Hogan. That image, one of the images that always stand out to me was when he beat Hulk Hogan and he busted him open and he took his blood and he just wrapped it. I'm like, it's a freaking savage, dude. I'm like, my God.
And if you remember correctly, man, Hulk Hogan had just won the Undisputed Championship against Triple H earlier that year. So he was over. So Hulk Hogan was over as hell during that time, in the great words of JR. So for him to go on that run like that and then top that off by beating The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell, I mean, usually when you go to Hell in a Cell, you know, you face The Undertaker, you're there. In the great words of Tommy Hearns, when he was on the episode of Martin, when you go to Hell in a Cell against The Undertaker, you go there to get your tail kicked.
Yeah.
Don't believe that. Ask Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley. So, and Edge, by the way. But
he also won King of the Ring. You can't forget about that. He beat
RVD. He beat RVD. Beat RVD. I mean, that was one of the greatest rookie years. You're not going to get a rookie year better than that. I mean, I don't think you can top that ever.
I think it really rivals Kurt Angle if you like count from like June 2002 when he joined to like June 2003. It's up there. Like it's definitely up there. It rivals Kurt Angle in my opinion.
We got another guest on the show.
Brandon. That's Brandon.
Yo,
How you doing, Brandon?
Doing good. Glad to be
just
back.
Discussing our favorite Brock Lesnar moment. Feel free to chime in.
When he lost
Let's see. Favorite, bro. I gotta think about it.
It's the picture, bro.
I got another small favorite moment from Brock. It's not like a big moment, but
Oh yeah, Brock Roman, WrestleMania.
no, what?
With no, SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's a good match. That's a really good match.
Yeah, when Brock Lesnar had a tractor.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one.
Yeah,
No, like the funny thing is the return of Brock is like my favorite ring moment. But one of my favorite small moments of Brock when he's on a freaking tractor, he just tosses the mic to Roman and he catches it with one hand. Like, and also Disco Brock with like the Money in the Bank briefcase when he's doing
Oh
the
my
moonwalk.
god, that was
That
funny.
is one of the funniest moments I've ever seen. And Kofi and Seth are just like, "What the hell are we watching?"
Mhm. All right. Time for me to give my opinion. Favorite Brock Lesnar moment. Unfortunately, Champ stole all my thunder, but as he always says, great minds think alike.
Fair enough.
2004, No Way Out. Brock Lesnar versus the late great Eddie Guerrero. God rest his soul. That was a hell of a match. The promos prior to that, Brock and Eddie. Because how would a guy like Eddie, 5'8", 5'9", 200-ish, going up against a beast like Brock Lesnar, 6'3", 6'4", practically 300 pounds. And that was the night in which Eddie Guerrero won the WWE Championship. So anytime when I watch that match, it gives me the chills because Eddie Guerrero, one of my favorite wrestlers. The match I would love to see. Unfortunately, we didn't see it. And Champ, you know this when I'm talking about him versus Stone Cold. The only reason why that didn't happen was because Stone Cold had a problem with the creative at the time. It was supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Stone Cold, Monday Night Raw, something regarding King of the Ring, and that Brock Lesnar was supposed to win that one. That was a match I would love to see between Lesnar and Stone Cold, even though Jim Ross mentioned there was no build-up, there was no story, really wasn't much. But another great Lesnar moment, I will say, Champ stole that Hell in the Cell match with Taker in 2002. That was as vicious and as brutal as a Hell of a Cell match as I witnessed. And shout outs to the great Paul Heyman. How he manages Brock Lesnar, how he gives them those types of matches. I swear, when Brock won WrestleMania 30, I was shocked. I was shocked. I thought Taker was going to win that one. I had no idea that Taker was going to win. It's still mind blowing to this day. But Champ, you stole my thunder with Rock. I was going to bring up Rock, man. Just how dominant he was in that victory against Rock.
Look, the number one, man, great minds think alike, man. That's why I call you the New Jersey genius, number one. And like I said, man,
Kieran too. Kieran's, we got to give him New Jersey genius too. He lives in Jersey.
New Jersey genius number two. Look, for you to top that year off, like I said earlier, you went through that entire year as a heel. You're waiting for him to lose. You're waiting for that one guy to teach him a lesson. I mean, you're waiting on it. And it's just like, there's no way he's going to beat him. There's no way and for you to top that off, like I said, and I'm putting it mildly, we got the young people watching. When you go into Hell in a Cell against The Undertaker, in the great words of Tommy Hearns, you're there to get your tail kicked. It's not one of those negotiation types. I mean, look what happened to Boss Man. Look what happened to Shawn Michaels, although Undertaker lost that match. Look what happened with Edge. Look what happened to Mick Foley. When you go into Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker, you're there to get your tail kicked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But for you to go over in dominating fashion, kick it out of the last ride at the end of it. I mean, back then, The Undertaker put you down with the last ride in 2002. You was down.
Mm-hmm.
You was down. For you to kick out of the last ride, to get the rope at the very last minute right before they hit the 3 count, and then reversed the tombstone. Everybody thought that if anybody was going to beat the next big thing, it was going to be the Undertaker, and it's always been that way between those two. That's how I don't think people understand. It's like the big giant veteran that is finally going to teach this young guy a lesson. And to Brock Lesnar's credit, hey, Taker never did. Taker taught everybody a lesson. I mean, he took everybody to the woodshed that he ever faced. He beat Rock. He beat Austin. He beat Triple H. He beat everybody who you can name that was a WWE superstar from the 90s all the way up to the time he retired. He taught them all a lesson at one point in time in their career. And Brock Lesnar was the only one that he could not teach a lesson. We was waiting on him. I know I was. But during that first year, I knew of like, you know what? You facing the Undertaker. The Undertaker is about to do some things to you that you ain't never seen before. And for you to go over on him during his match, that's the Undertaker's match. Make no mistake. Buried alive, casket match, Hell in a Cell, that's the Undertaker's match. For you to go over on him like that in that fashion, in dominating fashion, kicking out of the last ride, reversing the tombstone, that's amazing, man. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see another rookie year like that in history.
I always say this: how do you be a dead man? You got a freaking beast.
Yeah,
that's all.
Man, I still say to this day, I've seen a lot of like ridiculous like counters in wrestling matches. To this day, I still feel like that tombstone into that F5 is one of the greatest counters I have ever seen, because Undertaker was still wrestling at like 305 pounds. I mean, Undertaker's a big boy. And for Brock to reverse the tombstone, have him on one shoulder, and it was almost like carrying a child, and to be able to just shift into that F5 and just execute it with the ease he did. It's still one of the greatest counters in a wrestling match I've ever seen.
Yeah, besides John Cena, Brock is probably the strongest guy I've ever seen in the ring.
Right.
Yeah, not quite. Yeah.
That's really it.
Reason why I'm glad Hot Take Kenny's here, because he wanted to hop on the pod. You had some issues with what Champ had to say regarding Ric Flair. Do you want to care to chime in, Hot Take?
Mm-mm.
I think Karen knows where I'm going with this about the
What are you about to say?
I have a problem with Ric Flair being top 10, bro.
So I have a question, Kenny.
Yes.
Right? Are you only doing WWE?
Yes, I'm only doing WWE.
Okay, that is fair.
I'm only doing WWE. Like, if we're going all wrestling, cool, I get it. But strictly WWE, I can't go that route and say it's top 10.
Honestly, I will say this. I can go that route and say he's top 10 in WWE, because the thing is this. People don't understand. I don't think, and this is no knock to you, Kenny, or anybody that's, younger than 35 on this panel, but BRF can attest to this. When you go from being the face of one organization, being the NWA champion, aka the WCW champion, and go right on another person's show and become a dominant figure almost instantly on that show and become a WWE champion in the Royal Rumble, that's nothing short of amazing. And keep in mind, back then in the WWE, that was when Hulk Hogan was reigning supreme. He had a terrifying grip on the WWE. So for you to go into the WWE, essentially enemy territory, and you go over on some of their greatest superstars during that time, is nothing short of amazing. You win the Royal Rumble, arguably one of the biggest matches in the history of, the WWE, in order to win your first Royal title in the WWE. Not to mention, you were part of one of the greatest factions. You were part of two of the greatest factions, arguably in the history of wrestling, and that's the Four Horsemen and Evolution. So the thing is, you can put him top 10 And not only that, he's a crossover star. He's a crossover star. Although he doesn't have all of these mind-boggling reigns as the WWE champion, he was a crossover star during that time. He helped make Batista. He helped make Triple H even better because of that reign of terror he was on from 2002 all the way up to 2004. Up until Batista won the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 21. I mean, helped build Randy Orton. So the thing is, you have to take into account everything. Plus, without Ric Flair, I'm old enough to remember there were several wrestling promotions. I remember the territories. I'm pretty sure BRF, not to insult him, but he remembers the territories as well. So when you talk about the wrestling territories, you cannot talk about wrestling without Ric Flair. When you talk about the NWA title, you cannot talk about it without Ric Flair. The reason why they invented the term, you can have a wrestling match with a broom and the broom will look like $1 million, was because of Ric Flair. And so the thing is, you can name guys from different territories that wrestled Ric Flair and they instantly became a superstar overnight. And we talk about the Iron Man match. Hell, Ric Flair was doing that every other night in the territory days. He was doing that every other night in WCW with Barry Windham, with Dusty Rhodes, with the Road Warriors, with those guys. So the thing is, you can't discount Ric Flair's impact not only on the WWE but over wrestling as a whole. Like I said, for you to be the world heavyweight champion in WCW, aka the NWA, during that time, and go right into the WWE and cut short one of the biggest superstars, arguably in wrestling history, in Hulk Hogan, and be their world champion just months after appearing on their show, that just goes to show you how talented that you were during that time. And for you to win the Royal Rumble, for you to be headlining WrestleMania within a year, you're in enemy territory. You're not in WCW anymore. Ole Anderson's not booking for you. Jim Herd is not interfering with a lot of the progress that you're making in WCW. You go to Vince McMahon and you instantly bring that superstardom from that show, who back during that time, WCW was a Southern show. It was a Southern regional show. For you to go from that show to New York City, Gotham City, the biggest promotion in the history of the world, to go from the NWA champion to go up there to take the title with you, because that was the thing. People don't understand that. The first person to ever put somebody on their TV show with somebody else's world title was Vince McMahon. That's how come he was so concerned about the Montreal Screwjob, because he'd done it before. So the thing is, for you to go over and interrupt the dynasty of a Hulk Hogan, who was the face of the golden era and the face of the WWE during that time, and just instantly go over with that audience, that's nothing short of amazing. So you could put him in top 5 in the WWE, because number one, he wasn't there very long. But the thing is, he was over nearly every single superstar up there, including the great Hulk Hogan.
So my problem with Ric Flair is because, one, even though I do think his first run was good, they kind of butchered it because everyone wanted to see Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania. Everyone did. No one wanted to see Hulk Hogan versus Sid Justice, even though Savage was really good. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Randy Savage. Like, it should have been Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan. Everyone wanted to see it. Now, like, I do agree that Ric Flair is a great mentor. He mentored Triple H. He mentored Batista. He mentored Randy Orton. They all became, like, superstars. My problem is, when we talk about WWE, I just feel like guys like John Cena, Austin, HBK, Taker, even like Orton, like, I feel like other guys like Rock, like Edge, even Edge, like, most of those guys, in my opinion, peaked in WWE. I don't think Ric Flair peaked in WWE. You could argue NWA or WCW, not to mention, like, his longevity is not, like, great in WWE either, so I think that holds him back as well. So I just look at other guys. I just think they did way more in WWE than Ric Flair. But that's just my opinion. Like, I didn't even mention Roman Reigns, and Brandon knows I don't like Roman Reigns, but we can all agree that Roman is better.
Roman Reigns carried the company on his back for years now, so it's like we really have to take that into consideration.
I didn't even mention Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho was there for nearly 2 decades. He did a lot of great work in WWE.
Triple H also.
Like Triple T.
Hey, we're also forgetting another key wrestler, Booker T.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Personally for me, I think Triple H is top 5 all time for WWE. I think the body of work that he did for basically 2 decades now, I think he's probably the best heel we've ever seen from a wrestler in WWE. Like,
just ask Jim Ross.
Literally, just ask Jim Ross. Like, he hates Triple H. Like, listen.
You know what I'm referring to, champ. You know.
Oh yeah,
I know exactly what you refer to.
Is it true that Ric Flair was good in WWE?
Yes. Without a doubt.
I just personally believe that more people have done more. Even a guy like Savage. Like, I think Savage has done more in WWE than Ric Flair. But
from a wrestling standpoint, from just a sheer wrestling standpoint, I can see that there are a bunch of guys who have done more in the WWE sheer wrestling. The influence thing, that's a whole different. That is a whole different argument conversation. The influence thing, that's a whole different argument. Because if you're talking about from an influence thing, you could say Ric Flair is arguably the most influential person in the history of the WWE if you're talking about influence. But just strictly from wrestling, it's not. But I'm saying from a sheer wrestling standpoint, that's not a crazy argument that you're making. I definitely hear everything y'all saying. That's not a crazy argument, and I agree with y'all really from a wrestling standpoint. I agree with y'all completely from a wrestling standpoint. I think that there are more wrestlers from a pure wrestling standpoint that's done more in the WWE than Ric Flair. I agree with y'all wholeheartedly on that one. So for me, that's not a crazy argument.
Now listen. We're just talking about wrestling as a whole. I think Ric Flair is number 1. I'm not taking anything away from him. Really.
Actually, Kieran, he doesn't even consider himself the GOAT.
Who is he considered the GOAT?
He did an interview with Chris Van Fleet.
Oh yeah, he did. He said Austin, right?
Yeah, he said Stone Cold is the GOAT. Here's why. He said it's not who did it the best, but who did the most for the company.
I agree. Yeah, no, that's facts.
And again, Austin during the late 90s, WWF, sorry for my language, pardon my language, was in the shitter. Shit, they had to take out loans just in order to make payrolls. And during the late 90s, WCW was kicking their ass, and Austin was the perfect example in the Attitude Era. Austin and McMahon, the greatest rivalry. I mean, Austin, one of the greatest baby faces going up against Vince McMahon. Say whatever you want about him, but in my opinion, the greatest heel.
Yeah.
And Vince, I don't know, ever since the Montreal Screwjob, I listened to Jim Cornette. Love Jim Cornette, as Champ always says, colorful. Vince actually thought that he would be babyface. And that wasn't going to work because you screwed Bret Hart. You screwed the guy out of his own title, not to mention his own country in Canada. But Rick has said about Steve, the impact still to this day, even though you could say John Cena as the GOAT, you can say Undertaker as the GOAT, and even though the knock on Steve was longevity, 5 years, and unfortunately because of injuries, everything else that Steve. But at his peak, the Attitude Era, the Austin 316 t-shirts, outside of Taker's entrance, that glass, when you hear that glass break, all hell is going to break loose because you're going to see a badass whooping somebody's ass. And everyone wanted to be Stone Cold at that time because, look, a lot of us, we at work. A lot of us don't like doing what the bosses do. Sometimes, hell, we want to whoop the boss's ass. And that's how Stone Cold made us feel like. Stone Cold was the type of person that we wanted to be. We wanted to be the type of person that would kick our boss's ass. We would be the type of person that would raise hell, drink a beer, do everything that we wanted to do. The epitome of what the Attitude Era was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And look, Stone Cold was doubted, just like Cena. he and Cena, they have a lot in common because prior to their peaks, their careers, Steve, and he'll tell you himself, given a shit ass ton of nicknames from Ringmaster, Fang McFrost, Chili McFreeze, Otto Von Ruthless, all these other nicknames at the time that he was given. I'm sorry, I ain't joking. I'm telling you the truth.
No, I know. I saw the documentary.
Yeah.
No,
But-
I like them.
Dude was like, y'all supposed to be some of the greatest writers in the world, and this is what y'all giving me? Like, the hell are y'all doing?
Y'all giving me this bullshit for me to work with? And then Steve, his wife at the time, came up with the nickname Stone Cold Steve Austin because she made him a cup of tea, drink it before it gets stone cold. In the HBO special on Richard Kukutski, the Iceman, with the mafia and stuff. But Rick talked about Steve's impact in the late 90s and what he still means to wrestling, even post-career. I mean, hell, that WrestleMania against Kevin Owens. 19 years.
One of my favorite matches of all time.
The funny thing is about Austin is that I know a lot of people on this panel have John Cena as a GOAT, but there's like the funny thing, like the funny thing is about Austin is that like we're still seeing his influence today. Like Kevin Owens, like taking the stunner and just trying to be like a badass and like all that stuff.
It's
And
not working.
I mean,
it's kind of working, but it's not the same.
He's still relevant though. Like he's still like an upper mid carder. He's still feuding with the bloodline and all that stuff.
Hey, Karen, this might be nasty, but R-Truth does it. The AA.
And I also say this.
I'm not gonna lie. R-Truth's hilarious. Listen. I love R-Truth.
Yeah, he is.
Protect that man at all times.
The thing about Austin, like I personally think he's the GOAT because I just think he's the most relatable when it comes to like a character. As Sports BSB said, like you want to take down the boss. Like the boss is like making all these decisions and you don't like it. You just want to beat the crap out of him. And also like I've always said that if Austin wasn't there, we'd probably be watching WCW right now. And not to mention, he's probably one of the greatest mic workers ever. Like I know a lot of people give him.
If you talk about Cena and if you talk about Rock, Austin, I cannot tell you. I will only tell y'all this off the air. I won't say this on the air. But if you listen to all the things that Austin said on the air, mic skills is right up there. I would love to see it. Had it not been for Austin with his durability, I would love to see Prime Stone Cold versus Prime Cena. Can you imagine that would be?
To me, that would be. Listen. I just want to say this. That would clear The Rock versus Stone Cold by far.
I agree. I agree.
The question is, who would play heel?
I think Stone Cold. I would say Stone Cold because Stone Cold would fit the heel better than Cena.
Yeah. Not like speaking of heel Austin, like a lot of people don't like Owen Austin because of the heel run, but go watch back 1996 and 1997 Austin. His feud with Bret Hart is absolutely legendary. If you put their letter S in front of Hitman, you got my exact opinion about Bret Hart. Austin to me has the two most iconic promos I've ever heard from a wrestler.
Karen, I don't mean to interrupt you, Karen, but they don't like Austin's heel when he was going with the what's the name? It was like it was him partnering with WCW when it was Stephanie McMahon and then Shane.
I hated that heel run.
That is an underrated Stone Cold by far.
They should have never done that. The more I look at it, the more I don't like it.
Why?
I don't because they should have never done it. He's even said so himself. The night he turned at WrestleMania 17, he should have did exactly what he did to Rock, and then he should have stunned Vince McMahon, and he should have. A lot of it was funny. Yeah, like a lot of he had some funny moments, but just as a whole, just like the more I think back, the more I look at it, I don't like it. I didn't like it.
You didn't like the
During that
Kurt
time,
Angle. You didn't like the Kurt Angle
thing
milk
is
scene?
about that, like the whole invasion shit. I think I can't really give shit to Austin or McMahon because none of the big stars like came. Goldberg didn't come. Hulk Hogan didn't come. Sting didn't
Right.
come.
Good.
So
I'm
Good
an
point.
allegation, man.
Great
so
point.
listen. So the
because
thing
their
is, I
contracts
think
were
they knew.
guaranteed at
I
that
think
time.
they knew
They'd
they
be
were in.
fools
I
to
think
go
they
to
knew they were in
WWE.
trouble because, like, if you turn Austin heel, maybe you get like more backlash because everyone just loved Austin, but it didn't work because everyone just loved Austin. It made no sense, but I think the heel turn was actually great. Personally, I think no one predicted Austin to actually side with McMahon after all the shit he went through, like for the last 3 years. But
I loved it. I will say this though. I didn't like the invasion part of his heel run, but the 2-man power trip with Triple H was chef's kiss.
that was awesome.
I loved that portion of his heel run. That was amazing
That's the most
because they
underrated
tapped
tag team.
because yes, they tapped into psychotic Stone Cold, paranoid Stone Cold with that 2-man power trip run. That was executed to perfection. I feel like the invasion angle kind of watered that down for me, but the 2-man
Yeah.
power trip portion of it was perfect. Was amazing.
I'm laughing you brought that up, BRF, because you remember when Kurt Angle was driving the milk truck and he was throwing like the milk or whatever.
Yes.
Kurt Angle's the funniest WWE wrestler ever. I don't care.
I know this isn't the topic, but I just want to say this about Shawn Michaels, and I've said this to Brandon. And I've
Oh,
said
here we go.
Oh gosh.
Go ahead.
I have to say this, bro. Like, people got to understand when Shawn Michaels was like the best wrestler at his time. People have to understand the ratings were extremely, extremely low. And yes, it's not Shawn Michaels' fault that he had no talent to surround him with. I'll never take that away from Shawn Michaels. But you also have to take that into consideration. Like, that kind of doesn't make him the GOAT in the way. Because I know a lot of people have Shawn Michaels as the greatest wrestler of all time. Karen knows it, Brandon knows it, and Champ knows it. But I just think, like, if you look at the people's runs, like, you got John Cena, of course, you got Stone Cold, and you got The Undertaker. To me, those are the 3 greatest wrestlers of all time because they have the in the ring, they have the mic skills, they have everything, just like Shawn Michaels. But other than that, those 3 that I just named, they had like the competition for their time. But you know what I'm saying? Shawn Michaels didn't really, like, when he was at his peak, the ratings were low, and it was like, there wasn't really no competition, for him. The competition didn't come back till he came back from his back injury. So I get he's like, he helped a lot of people in the ring and made a lot of people better. But to me, like, I just feel like people take it too far when they put him as the greatest wrestler of all time.
You know what's funny, Kenny? I'm like kind of reverse. I feel about the Undertaker.
Really?
Yeah.
Why you say that?
Because even though I love Undertaker, I think he's the greatest. Like, he's the most unique character I've ever seen. I don't think he'll ever, like, he's like, to me, like with Shawn Michaels. That's why I think Austin and Cena are better than him. Like, because I think they can, like, actually, like, carry the company and, like, actually uplift. I think, like, Taker can be the second guy. Like, I think Shawn can be the second guy. And I will say this about Taker and Shawn. If you want to have them as GOAT, I'm not going to take anything away because I do think longevity and actually being relevant for, like, 2 decades is very hard to do. Not a lot of people could do that. That's why I tell Roman Reigns fans that, yeah, Roman was really good for 4 years. But he was not good for up until really 2019. But anyway,
for sure, like Roman
he was good. His problem was booking. Booking for him was trash. But he was really good. Like, if you go back to Roman Reigns, like that 2016 run he had. That was a pretty good run. Like when he beat Triple H for the WWE title at WrestleMania 32. And that run he had afterwards, like particularly those AJ Styles matches and like the match with Seth he had at Money in the Bank. I mean, Roman 2016 was.
listen, I agree with you, but it was also his own fault because he got suspended. Like, he also hurt his run in the process.
How the
And
hell did
also,
he get suspended again?
what's up?
Drug test.
Drug
Oh
test.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I agree with you. He did suffer from bad booking, but a lot of guys have suffered from bad booking in that era. I could think of like 3 on the top of my head. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. That was like the main thing of Monday Night Raw in 2016 and early 2017. They butchered the crap out of that. They made it a mid-card match, and everyone wanted it to be for the world title at WrestleMania. AJ Styles, even though he had it for a year, most of those matches, like the rivalries, were not good. Shinsuke Nakamura was not great.
I
Samoa
never thought
Joe.
he was good.
What's up?
I never thought Shinsuke Nakamura was good.
That rivalry is just mid. Like, it's not
Yeah.
good.
I
Like,
don't get it.
The WWE never the
Shinsuke when he
WWE
first
never
came out
figured
was
out
crazy.
the WWE never figured out how to properly use him. I feel they could never figure him out for some reason.
Yeah. I don't
I think Shinsuke Nakamura could have been a way bigger deal than what he turned out to be in WWE. They just never really figured it out with him.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, what were you gonna say?
Brandon?
I said that I was mentioning to Kenny about Shinsuke. That he was really good. Well, when he first came out.
I never saw the hype. Respectfully.
Bro, the NXT run was insane, bro. The NXT run was sick.
I just like the thing is, I feel like people get blinded by NXT. Like, not everyone's gonna be great at NXT because you're basically competing with a smaller market. And like, granted, Shinsuke was popular. Everyone loved Shinsuke. I just think they butchered it really. But
I will say this, back to Shawn Michaels, because Champ and I, we had this discussion, I think, last week. And to Champ's point, what is Shawn Michaels' record at WrestleMania? I know it's below 500.
It's 6-11.
For him to have that type of record, and to Champ's point, to have those types of matches, what does that say about Shawn Michaels, the talent? Okay, the first run, we can all agree his second run was better than his first run.
I agree.
I'm not going to be hard on Shawn Michaels at that point during the late 90s because, again, the ratings. That's more on Vince McMahon and the WWF at the time because they weren't getting ahead with the times, just like with WCW. Eric Bischoff, one of the things that he did, WCW champ, I think he made the events live because people wanted to see it live as opposed to being recorded.
Yeah.
When you look at Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, greatest in-ring performer. There's him, Bret the Hitman Hart. There's a lot of great ones. Shawn Michaels is right up there.
Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle's definitely.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels could also be babyface. He can also play heel. Shawn Michaels polarizing inside and outside the ring. Obviously, outside the ring in the 90s, he was difficult to deal with. Heck, ask Undertaker. Champ has told me several times. Had Shawn not dropped the belt off to Steve Austin in WrestleMania 14, Lord knows what Taker would have done to Shawn Michaels.
He probably
how much Shawn Michaels was despised back in the days. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. But when you look at Shawn, some people, they have him in the GOAT conversation, in-ring ability, the impact he still has. And look what he's done with NXT. And you look at what Shawn Michaels has been doing, D-Generation X. Champ, you know this for a fact. If you did the signs back in the day, boy, your ass is getting in detention. They even thinking twice. They putting your ass in the detention of the principal's office. And when you look at what Shawn Michaels' impact from all the great matches, Stone Cold said he's like the Michael Jordan of the WWE. Taker said it himself. There's not another wrestler I want to work with in the ring than Shawn Michaels. Bret, and even though I'm glad that they've reconciled because of the Montreal screw job and everything else, Bret has talked about how great Shawn Michaels was in the ring as well. And when you look at the impact he still has to this day with all the other wrestlers, not just because of his wrestling skills, the impact, the sexy boy, he's the heart boy. Shawn was a polarizing figure because women adored him, men liked him, and the other way around. Sean had that type of aura. He still had that aura, even in his second one when he found God, turned around his life, cleaned up his habits. I can't necessarily knock anyone, Kenny, for saying Shawn Michaels is the GOAT. Do I have him as the GOAT? No, but I think he belongs in the discussion. If you want to say Shawn Michaels is top 5, he's easily top 10. He's easily top 10.
He's definitely top 5. I just don't think like I'll say this. I think him and Undertaker, like Aaron said, are very, very interchangeable. I just think like if we're just talking about the GOAT for WWE, it's between Cena or Austin. Because to me, they did way more for the company than Shawn Michaels, respectfully.
I agree.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
I agree. You know?
To be honest with you, man, I'm just going to be real because I lived through that era. I'm going to make this short because I know PSP wants us to kind of move on. Look.
I love this. I love this.
To be honest with you,
I'm getting. There's a reason why I have over 11,000 subscribers because of great content like this. But go ahead.
The reason why, if you really look at it, wrestling did not change until March of '96.
Yeah,
it did not change. So me and BRF, we the elder statesmen up here. We're old enough to remember when a lot of people wasn't watching wrestling. It wasn't just the WWE. It wasn't just WCW. It was a lot of guys, a lot of women, a lot of children wasn't watching the WWE or WCW anymore. We experienced a drop-off from the golden era of wrestling in the new generation. We experienced a huge drop-off. Remember, WrestleMania, Super Bowl, a lot of the back then, they only had 4 pay-per-views. There was only 4. WrestleMania. So the thing is, this pay-per-views were not a spectacle as it is today. It was like 2 hours, and it cost a hell of a lot. $29 was a lot of money back then.
That is true.
What were the events? WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the Royal Rumble.
SummerSlam, yeah. And then for WCW, it was Super Bowl, Clash of Champions, Starrcade, and Sold Out. So there was a period where I don't blame Shawn Michaels for the ratings being down at that point, because up until the NWO, the ratings was down everywhere. And if you really look at it, the ratings was down before Scott Hall went on to WCW TV. It said, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." Up until he said that, you remember this, BRF? They was booing Hulk Hogan in a lot of southern arenas when he came down south. They was
because of Canada still.
Yeah, they was booing Hulk Hogan, who was the biggest superstar arguably in wrestling history. So I don't blame Shawn Michaels for being the guy. They say the ratings was down. The ratings was down everywhere from up until the last remnants of the golden era of wrestling, which was around 1992 all the way up until 1996. It was not cool to watch wrestling during 92 through like 95. Those years, you watch wrestling, and like I said, I was a kid during that time. People looked at you like, ugh. It didn't really become cool again. Yeah, you can attest to this, BRL. They look like, you watch wrestling? Ugh. It wasn't until around 96, 97 when those years started rolling around, when the NWO and everything started making a change. That's when wrestling became cool again. Much like now. During the PG era, people would kind of look at you. You still watch wrestling? Now,
I got that every day.
A resurgence of it. It's like, okay, now it's cool again. So the thing is, right now, I'm sorry, but the thing is, right now, I can't blame Shawn Michaels for how low the ratings was, because it was low across the board. That period from transitioning from the golden era all the way up to the attitude era, that new generation era, although it produced a lot of good superstars and Big Daddy Cool Diesel and Razor Ramon and guys like that, for every one of those guys during the new generation era, there was guys like the Goon. Y'all remember him? I don't either. So the thing is, there was guys like the Goon. You know what I'm talking about? There was guys like the Goon. There was guys like, I mean, just nobody, guys, who just really
Repo
nobody,
Man.
the Repo Man, really nobody paid attention to. For every Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, and Big Daddy Cool doing a new generation, there was a lot of other guys that you look at and say, how the blankety blank did you get a job in wrestling? Because you can't refer what the you know what, and you have no charisma, and you're still back. You look like you should be back in the golden age of wrestling doing gimmicks. So from like 92 to 90, early 96, guess what? Wrestling wasn't that cool. Wasn't a lot of merchandise. You didn't see a lot of Bret Hart shirts back then. People want to talk about Shawn Michaels wasn't drawing ratings. Hell, neither was Bret Hart.
Neither was Taker, really. Like,
to be honest with you, the thing is, the reason why Taker is held in so much regard because he was the most reliable. If you look at the biggest draws back then, Taker was right up there as far as being a draw.
True.
He was a draw. When they gave Vince McMahon and the WWE an award for the first time that they appeared in Portland, Oregon, the person who appeared on that show was The Undertaker. When they went across the water to go to Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and do shows like that, the person who headlined that was The Undertaker. So the thing is this. I mean, and if you look at that, he is the last member of the golden era and the new generation, the attitude, and each era he thrived. Each era he thrived. That's why we put him up there, because Taker thrived in the golden era with Hulk Hogan at his peak. In the new generation era, he was the consummate of that era. You look at the attitude era, he was even bigger. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker, Highway to Hell, SummerSlam 1998, arguably the greatest SummerSlam of all time. That was headlined by The Undertaker. I mean, then you look at the Ruthless Aggression era. Who put more guys over than The Undertaker during that era? Put over John Cena, put over Brock Lesnar, put over John Bradshaw Layfield when he was at his peak as a heel. Who put over more guys than The Undertaker? Nobody.
He put over bad wrestlers. Like, he put over freaking Great Khali, for crying out loud.
Yeah, he put over the Great Khali, man. So the thing is this, man. You have to think about this, man. When you think about the new generation of wrestling, that was a transitional period from, the golden era to the attitude era. People that hold that against Shawn Michaels, you got to think about this. Wrestling was not cool from 92 all the way up into early 96 before Scott Hall said, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. You watch wrestling back then, people was looking at you kind of crazy. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't really watching wrestling during that point in time. Yes, I watched the pay-per-views and stuff like that, but from 92 to let's say early 96, before the NWO came into fruition, I wasn't necessarily asking my mom to order a pay-per-view. I was like, hell, I catch it on Monday. And if you really, really look at it, they was telling you the pay-per-views were sometimes so lackluster at a certain point. They was telling you what was happening the night after. They was showing clippings of what was going on because not many people were ordering pay-per-views during that time. So, and it wasn't until quiet as it's kept. People could say what they want to about Eric Bischoff. It wasn't until Eric Bischoff that we start seeing one pay-per-view a month. So my thing is, people who hold that against Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Undertaker for the new generation, hey, across the board, even with some of the superstars that they had in WCW, across the board, the ratings was down. It didn't really go back up there and start flying back up into 96. Remember, they couldn't sell ads back then. During that time on the TV station, they couldn't sell anything. They couldn't sell ads. Ad prices was down, and everything, and not to mention, a certain trial happened back then as well. So the eyeballs, eyeballs away from wrestling. The Vince McMahon, drug trial that took eyeballs away from wrestling. And so, guess what? There was a lot of factors that went into the ratings being down. It wasn't just Shawn being a bad wrestler or a bad draw. The ratings was down across the board. Even with Ric Flair going back to WCW, their ratings was down up until Eric Bischoff came in and just turned that thing around. Say what you want to about him. It was just like, hey, that the new generation, in my humble opinion, it created a lot of superstars. But if you really look at it from like 92 to early 96, that was really the lost years of wrestling, if you want me to be honest.
Champ, it's funny because I try to give New Generation a chance. I really try to. It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch. When Mabel is main eventing SummerSlam with Diesel, I'm just like, this is probably the worst match I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's bad. And also, like, there's like a lot of bad wrestlers. They try to like promote Adam Bomb for out of all people. Like, he was awful. Like, there's so many bad wrestlers. The ratings were down. Like, and yeah, as you said, like, it's not really Sean's fault. It's just that, like, they were struggling financially. Like, Hulk Hogan, like,
that was the problem.
Like, Hulk Hogan, like, delayed wrestling, and like, I think he made it worse for like a couple of years because he just delayed progress. Really, I think.
I mean, when something, I don't think he delayed it. When something works, you're very, very unanxious to want to change. If I go out here and I'm talking really, really crazy about certain stuff and it draws eyeballs and it gets us 1 million views, if putting me on a show of me talking crazy draws any one of your shows 1 million views, you're going to continue to do it until it doesn't draw 1 million views. Am I right or wrong?
No, wrong.
Okay, so that's what happened with the Hulk Hogan situation. I'm going to sit around here. I'm going to put Hulk Hogan on TV until you don't want to watch it no more. That's how come Hulk Hogan ended up having to change the trajectory of his career when he joined the NWO. So the thing is, like I said, if you really look at the New Generation, some of the worst main events that I have ever witnessed in my life, I'm like, bro, I never forget when, one of the craziest matches in my life I ever seen was when it was like two Abram tanks going against each other. I never forget when Psycho Sid and Diesel went at each other. It was just like, it wasn't like this good. It was built up as a monstrous match, but it was just like two Abram tanks just crashing into each other. But
95 is the worst of wrestling. Like, 1995 is the worst year of WWE, like, by far. There was no talent. The pay-per-views were awful. When like Jerry Lawler and like Doink the Clown are going in a Survivor Series match, I'm just like, this is pathetic. It's bad. I've always said, like, this rivals like the new era, like 2016 and 20. Like, it's bad. It's really bad.
All right, fellas, we gotta move on. We got one last topic, entertainment one.
Okay.
This is favorite Jennifer Lopez track. I've been since I was a little kid. I've been a huge fan of Jennifer Lopez from her album 1999 on the 6. Love that album. Love J-Lo. Favorite tracks: Waiting for Tonight, and the other one with Ja Rule, the remix, I'm Real. That was the track I sent you earlier, Champ.
Hold on,
I mean,
let me see. Let me
I
see.
mean, with Jay,
Hold on.
I
Go
love
ahead.
Mine is
whoever wants to go with favorite Jennifer Lopez track.
mine is Love Don't Cost a Thing.
yeah,
That was a good one. The dancing, the music video too. That was iconic though.
yeah,
Facts, PFP, facts.
yeah. Hey man, look, the way we talk about, I'm gonna keep this clean, very, very clean. We have children watching, we have everybody of all ages watches. But look, her and a certain person, I will say, was the first power couple that I ever seen. We talk about Beyonce and Jay-Z right now. We talk about a lot of couples that get together, but the first of its kind was her and a certain rap mogul that we saw. And I know we don't mention names on because, a lot of litigations is going on with this certain person, but he was one of the biggest mogul of the 90s. And when we saw him and her on I think it was the 98 VMAs with her in the Versace dress on.
Oh, you can say his name.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that, bro. We're not gonna do that. We keeping it clean for the kids. But the thing is,
I got you.
that was the first power couple we ever seen.
You talking about the Grammys?
Yeah, the Grammys, the MTV Award. Yeah, that was that was a moment for the ages. You know what I'm talking about, PSP. We're gonna keep it clean.
I know exactly
Yeah,
what you
man.
referred to. You ain't
So,
gotta put it into more
yeah.
context. I know exactly
But
what you
yeah,
referred to. See my eyes. I
that
know.
was that
I,
definitely
I,
about
I would I would have said her and Derek Jeter, but that's just me though.
but I'm talking about for hip hop culture.
Oh, for hip
For
hop
hip
culture,
hop
okay.
culture, it was her and the other guy. But the thing is, favorite J-Lo track, man, gotta be Ain't That Funny.
With Ja Rule, the
Yeah,
remix.
yeah. The irony of it is she sampled flavor in your ear in order to do that. So that was a real. When you say "Ain't That Funny," I kind of find it ironic that you sampled flavor in your ear a couple years after that whole breakup situation. I just it's kind of like ironic, ain't that funny? But man, you losing. This is a track from a certain mogul. So I'm like, yeah, it is funny. You using that track. I recognize that track. But
I'm surprised he didn't pick the other track.
so
All I Have with the great LL Cool J.
yeah, that one was next. But you got me. I got you in the wrestling segment. Now you get me back in the music segment.
Hey,
So
listen, this is Jennifer Lopez we talking about right here, man.
yeah. I mean, hey man, look, man. Look, Jennifer Lopez, man. Look, say what you want, but she had talent. People can spew all types of, but back in the 90s, she was huge. Even to this day, she's huge. And you got to understand something, man. Back then, for her to be on that huge, to be that huge, when you had to compete with Mariah Carey and some of those huge singles back then, and for your albums to be going platinum, multi-platinum, and triple platinum, and for you to be putting up those type of numbers and to be a headline at the VMAs, for you to be doing that back then, it says a lot about how talented that you are. People can say whatever they would like, but numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Back then, wasn't no streaming, wasn't no social media. I mean, say what you will, J-Lo was the talk of the town, and you never really heard about her in the media. People can say what they would like about her relationships, but you never really heard a lot of tumultuous things, I would say, like you would hear about a lot of superstars today. And PSP, you know what I'm talking about. You don't really hear about a lot of scandal. You'll hear about, yeah, they broke up, but you don't hear about no scandal per se when you talk about J-Lo. So my thing is, man, hey, let talent breathe and let us have the moments that we had, man. But I would say, Ain't That Funny was a real big track, man. And I was just happy to be a part of that era, man, especially with the doing the VMAs during that time. Like I said, her and a certain mogul was the first power couple we ever saw. And quite frankly, I was excited to see something like that as a child. That made you want to go date the cheerleader at your school, man, because you feel like you had a shot, especially when you was that cool. I will say for that time. For that time, I will say.
You felt
But
like you were the Mac in high school?
yeah, you felt like you was the Mac in high school. I was like, if dude can do that and he can get a J-Lo, I know regardless of my weight and my love handles, I could go out there and try to date the shit. but yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna sneak one in
Wow.
on you every single segment. But yeah, that's how I felt, man.
Wow, is right, bro.
That is
You
crazy,
know what?
champ.
I'm the offensive
Wow.
lineman of it. I'm the offensive lineman on my
Boy,
team. I'm
that's that diabolical work right there, boy. Ooh.
but
Hot
I
take,
felt like
Kenny. Hot take, Kenny. What's your favorite J-Lo track?
Let me just say this, man. Jennifer Lopez, out of all the times I've been living on this planet Earth, is easily top 10 most sexiest women I've ever seen in my life.
Cook.
She's still sexy now, bro.
She's still sexy, and she's 50 years old.
She's
But
56.
yeah, that's crazy. But look, man, I really never got into Jennifer Lopez's music like that, but I do like this one particular song, and it's with her and Ja Rule. It's called "I'm Real," and I've said this on my podcast called the Kenny DR podcast. Man, Selena played a huge role in Jennifer Lopez's success, man, and Orlando culture, especially. Without Selena, there is no Jennifer Lopez. So,
I don't want to make this like sensitive, but Selena's the one that like got killed, right?
yeah, she's the one that got killed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. Jennifer Lopez, I really never got into her music like that. My cousin is a very huge fan because she's Puerto Rican. So maybe I'll have some conversations about Jennifer Lopez's talent soon. But I like that one song with her and Ja Rule. It's called "I'm Real," I believe. What PSP said.
Yeah, the remix, the
Yeah,
Murder Inc. one. That was
That
a that
mid
was a
guy.
hit one. That was a good one. And also too, shout out to Champ as well, because we had the conversation. Favorite weigh-ins moment. Remember, she used to be on In Living Color as one of the dancers. Let's not forget that, in case if people are forgetting.
Yeah, and she was a great dancer too, man. I mean, she was the fly girls from the Living Color. She could dance her behind off. And like I said, going back to the earlier conversation with her and a certain someone, she was in that video, been around the world. I mean, and she was dancing in that video. I mean, talent cannot be underestimated. People can say whatever they want to about your personal life or whatever, but look, give credit where it's due. She had talent. You can't be untalented and not make it.
All right, BRF.
I'm I'm with Kenny. I wasn't necessarily as big of a fan of her musically. Now she did have some good. Now I will say she did have some good tracks. Yeah, like she definitely could kill it as far as like the remixes and the connections and being able to pull the hip hop versions of her songs with the remixes. Like she could pull some good remixes. My favorite one is probably Ain't It Funny. That's probably my favorite one. Just like her, I don't know what it was with her and Ja Rule, but they could
They can make a hit. Yeah, they could definitely
make a hit.
Oh, they
You
made-
get them on the track. You get them on the track together. They could get a hit. Now I will give them that. They could get a hit.
Ja
Like
Rule
I'm
was good
real.
though with collaborations though. Him and Ashanti back then
I
too.
will. Now I would say that. Yeah, but I mean, at that time, though, Ja Rule was like one of the hot things going. Like he was one of the big names going. He couldn't help 50 Cent came out and did what he did with his career, and the rest is history. He can't control that. But at the time, Ja Rule was a pretty big deal because I'll admit the Rule 336 album, whether you admit it or not, that was a really good album. Whether you want to admit it or not, that was a good album. But yeah, I think about the narrative, I would say Ain't It Funny is probably my favorite song from J Lo because of how that beat. Because I mean that beat did carry, and yeah, I mean it was Flavor in the Ear. I mean you can't knock it. I mean I've said Flavor in the Ear is one of the greatest instrumentals in the history of hip hop. I mean that there shouldn't really be no argument to that. So I mean to be able to use that, of course you're gonna get a hit record. So and just the way that with the flow, I mean it carried. I mean that beat carried it. I mean that was a really good song. If I had to pick one like a remix, it would probably be Ain't It Funny. But as far as like an original song of hers, Love Don't Cost a Thing. Love Don't Cost a Thing was I like that. That was a really good one. If you're talking about like an original track, so I would probably go one of those two as far as like my favorite J Lo track.
All right, Brandon, you mentioned "Love Don't Cost a Thing." That was one of the tracks that you like, right?
Yeah.
All right, Kieran.
So just like Kenny and BRF, I actually want to get into J Lo because I do think she has a good voice. I think her vocals are pretty good. I've listened to Jenny from the Block, Love Don't Cost a Thing. I listened to Let's Get Loud, but it's kind of a bias pick because I've been to a lot of weddings recently, and when On the Floor plays, everyone just has a good ass time. It is a very catchy song. So that's personally for me. I know it's one of her newer songs because I didn't really listen to her 90s like music, but I really want to get into it because I've always said I need a comeback when it comes to music because I've been listening to the same stuff for about the last 5 years. But anyway,
You got to hop on Kenny's pod, man.
yeah. But yeah, Yeah, I wanna get into more J-Lo. I do.
Yes. Kenny, do you think you can be around next week?
For sure. What's the topics?
I'm gonna spoil this one.
Okay. Oh God.
Favorite Chris Brown track?
Hey man, hey man,
Oh,
hey man,
brother.
hey man, hey man. So look. I know this ain't my podcast. It's PSP podcast. And I know it's about to end it soon. I just want to say this, man. For this coming episode on the Kenny Dior podcast, I will be talking about the Tank said in an interview in PSP. I also want you to talk about this on your podcast. Tank said Chris Brown is better than Michael Jackson. Oops,
As an artist or dancer?
As an artist.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw the clips of it on Stephen A's pod on YouTube. I do recall that.
okay. You all hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you. We can
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
All right, so look, so on my podcast, I'm sorry, Tank said in an interview that Chris Brown was better than Michael Jackson. So we're gonna be talking about that and what he basically said in the interview. I'll just break it down since people are like, making a whole big deal. He's breaking down from a talent perspective. He's not going off, sales or nothing like that. He's just going off pure talent. So we gonna get into this soon. If you want to join the podcast on Sunday, you are more than welcome to. But yeah, man, we gonna get into that soon. I can't wait, man. I can't wait, man. Because what I'm saying, people are finally starting to see the light with Chris Brown and finally giving that man his props, and I'm glad to see it.
And shout out to Kenny. Please go check out his podcast. What's the name of the podcast to make sure that people like and subscribe and follow, man?
Yeah, man. Go first and foremost. Go follow me on Instagram, Kenny.Dior. My podcast is linked in the bio. My YouTube channel is called Kenny Dior. We do podcasts every Thursday and every Sunday, around like 5:30 to 8:30 time, depending on the mood, depending on the day. It's a music podcast. We also talk about cartoons and music. I said music and movies on my podcast also. And
Yep.
yeah, man, stay tuned to every episode.
Absolutely. And Champ, maybe for a special podcast, we may do for a wrestling one, favorite Jim Cornette moment.
I love
I know you have a lot to say regarding that.
not
Hey, I'm gonna get with you offline about that.
not
In the great work, do it like doing them teams meeting at work. I'm gonna get with you offline about that.
it's funny.
Yeah, man. Look, PSP man, always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to share the stage with each and every last one of y'all. I feel like I'm on every last one of you guys' show. I feel like I'm on every last one of y'all shows all the time. So it's just like, yeah, these are the guys that PSP. Of course, you put me on, but everybody just like, okay, I've been on every last one of you guys' show.
It's funny because Champs podcast is like Stream Tree. That's great.
Yeah, but
Give shout outs to Brendan from the block. I know him. He's a good dude. We met from Player's Choice.
Yep.
He was the one. I think he was the one who started all the group chats with all of us. And
That's facts.
yeah. And from that point, we just knew we had something special with the podcast and the content creation thing. So shout out to Brendan from the block. And also please go like and subscribe to his pod. Go check out the Monday football podcast every Monday nights and also his basketball. Don't forget the basketball one as well.
Oh man. Yeah. Facts. So yeah, man. That's what I like to do, man. I just like to connect with other people, and that's why I made the chat. Like I made it for the podcast people, and then PSP shout out to you because without you, I wouldn't know Champ, bro. I wouldn't know Champ.
I mean,
I wouldn't know last word.
Champ called me because I think there was a discussion I did on Player's Choice, and I said the quarterback with the most to prove. I said Russell Wilson, and I'm like, how did this dude follow me? And I'm like, oh, Player's Choice. And from that point, we just clicked, man. And nothing, like I said before, man, ain't nothing better than Southern hospitality. He lives in the greatest city in the world in Columbus, Georgia. That I know for a fact. So, fellas, any final comments? Let them know where to follow y'all at, man.
Oh yeah, follow. PSP said follow my YouTube, Brandon from the Block. Monday football show. It's about to get down and dirty when that football show comes. Oh my god, when them football games come on. But
I'm
champ,
so excited.
bro, I'm not gonna lie. I'm about to be a Falcons hater, bro. With all these Falcons fans, bro.
Yeah,
Why you gotta be
they
my
all want, they all want to come out the woodwork when we start doing good stuff. I'm like, nah, stay the hell off the bandwagon. Don't
I'm
if you
saying,
don't you
bro.
don't you don't you don't want to be here at the worst. Don't come when we finna start turning up.
Man, where
Don't
all
come
these
now.
Falcons fans come from?
Oh, Brendan, shout out to Bo Nix. He looked good in that
Oh
preseason
yeah,
game
oh, yeah. I
against
try to
Memphis.
tell people. Try to tell
Hey,
people.
well,
Hey,
I'll speak on it. That as always, it's a pleasure to be on here with you, PSP. Even though my daughter took me away for a little bit, I had to cater to it because I'm a little world. But
It's fine,
shout out
man.
to you. Oh, always shout out to you. It's always a pleasure being on your podcast. Of course, if Champ is from the greatest city in the world, I'm from the second greatest city in the world. I represent Madison, GA. So for all my Madison people, you stand up. We represent 706 all day.
I gotta
But
visit.
anyway,
I gotta visit these cities, man.
well, ain't too much really to do down in my hometown, but I mean it's quiet and it's nice. So I mean it's all good down here. But as always, BRL Sports is the TikTok handle. My link tree is in the bio. You follow my IG, my Twitter /X. I got a Facebook. And I have a Discord as well. If you want to join and hop in, you're definitely more than welcome to on that. I'm starting to pump the content out a little more. I'm trying to get back in. I'm trying to get back into the groove. Um, just trying to put it out there. Just I appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody that's supporting me, that's commenting on my videos, liking, subscribing, following me. I'm always grateful. And it's like I always say, a topic not thought about is a topic not talked about. Y'all holla at your boy.
Absolutely. Kieran, any final words, and let them know where to follow you at, man.
First of all, I appreciate you letting me on. Even though I troll Kenny, it's a pretty cool guy to talk to. BRF, I've known forever. Like I met him when in 2021, which is like crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I've known Champ for a little bit. I've known I've known you for a little bit. I know Brandon for a while now, so it's good to communicate with all you guys. It's always been fun. And also follow me on Kieran Sports. I just hit 8K like 2 weeks ago. So
Congratulations, man.
and something might be coming soon, and I'm not gonna spoil it yet.
And
Yeah.
Karen is the next Skip Bayless. Book it.
That's crazy. No.
That's crazy when you really think. Hey, look, say what you want to about Skip, but
that's Cam after all the takes.
Anyway, what's Kenny then? The Stephen A. Smith?
Hey, I want to go that route. I'll be cool with Smith.
Great.
We're gonna hear Kenny coming out to us, boy. That's blasphemous.
Hot take, Kenny. Let them know where to follow you at, man. Any final words?
Hey, man, go follow me on Instagram. You hear me?
Yes.
All right, go follow me on IG, Kenny.Dior, YouTube, Kenny.Dior, TikTok, same. Twitter, I'm actually gonna be posting more. So Kenny Dior on Twitter also. Gonna be trolling Kieran with the Knicks, because I have a lot of friends who are toxic Knicks fans. Brandon, I'm gonna troll your shit. I'm sorry, excuse my language. I'm gonna troll the shit Hawks because we're in the same division.
all right. All right.
But anyways,
Brand's on my bad side because I said the Seahawks are getting last.
It's wild.
But anyways, man,
Especially this DK8.
But anyways, Rams in 1, Lakers in 7.
And last but not least, saving the best for last, undisputed world champ.
Shout out to Decatur, Georgia.
Yeah.
Columbus, because I meant to say Columbus.
Yeah. Hey, Columbus, shout out to y'all. We doing real good tonight. If you're from Columbus, you know what I'm talking about. So if you're from Columbus, you know what I'm talking about. We doing good tonight.
I ain't from Columbus, and I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. So we doing good tonight, Columbus. Let's keep it up to Monday. So, hey, I will say this. Always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to share the stage with each and every last one of you guys. Look out for me and BRF tomorrow night at 9. Had to move the show up. Had a couple our co-hosts couldn't be there on Thursday, so we're gonna move it to Saturday. So look out for us tomorrow night at 9. Various subjects going on, man. We're gonna be addressing a lot of things, talking about a lot of things. Shout out to PSP. Thanks for putting me on the podcast, and thanks for putting me on podcast, period. And shout out to Brandon. You the same thing. Kieran, the same thing.
Sure.
And Kenny, man, I don't say this enough to you, man. Hey, look, I'm an old head, bro. Thank you. I watch your podcast to keep up with music. I'm not gonna lie to you. I watch your podcast to keep up with music. So thanks to you and PSP, I'm able to keep up with modern day music, and I'm not just out here listening to jazz all the time. So I appreciate both of y'all. So yeah, my nephew be making fun of me for listening to jazz. So, so you like turn that old folk music off. But thanks to you and PSP, y'all keep me updated on the latest music. So man, I appreciate that, man. And hey, man, PSP, congratulations, 11,000 followers. You are doing big things. I'm darn proud of you, man.
Yeah,
like brother to me, and you're doing big things, man. Hey, I can't wait for a major network or whoever to drop a big old bag of dough in your lap, man. So. Hey, can't wait to see that happen.
Man, God is good. I can't ask for any more, man. Shout out to Mama PSP. Mama PSP has done a lot of great things for me. Shout out to Mama PSP. As always, shout out to all the great content creators: Hot Take Kenny, Mario Knows Best, Brandon from the Block, BRF Sports, Kieran, of course, Champ. We're going to try to see if we can get Broad and Trent back on the show because, of course, their football content is fire.
Yeah.
And especially come around on football season, man. Go check out college football season too. Don't forget college football season. We talk about NFL. Let's not forget college football season. Going to be exciting. And, of course, as Champ mentioned, over 11,000 subscribers. Over 11,000. Just released the Ludacris video. Favorite Ludacris track out right now. Champ and I did that last week. By the way, Champ, our last episode last week, 10K.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
For real?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's tough.
That's fire.
That's
That is amazing.
Hey, listen, we have a lot of support from outside the USA, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico. So hey,
that's tough.
Worldwide, PSP, man. Pipping all over the world.
Boy, we gonna get monetized. We're gonna mess around. We're gonna be start making them peso. We're gonna start making them peso. We're gonna be start making that international money, man. I'm telling you, it's coming. It is coming.
Hey man, Club PSP. You know what I'm saying? PSP gonna be smoking them cigars, drinking alcohol. Man, I can't wait for them episodes, man.
Hey man, hey, I like I said, man, podcast is my number one love, is my passion. I work my ass off. I do everything I can, and I want to work with the best. And I'm working with the best. I know that for a fact. So y'all know where to follow me at, folks. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as IG Sports PSP, TikTok Sports PSP3. I'm gonna try to release some content, more clips out. Fellas, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Everyone enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Stay safe during this summer, hot ass summer. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend.
Oh my God.
Enjoy some great music. NFL
Show himself to put the arm on.
Hold on.
Don't play the music. Don't play the music.
Brandon, your lights off. Barely see it.
What you doing the tribal chief?
I got a tank top on, but I don't care.
Young man, we can't even see you.
No. It's good. We don't need this. We good. And on that note, y'all take it easy. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend and eat.